Morning, morning all. Morning. Morning, Roxanne. Morning, Brooklyn. Riagani. Morning, Neil Francois. Morning, sir. Always present. Cyril Meyers. Morning. Thank you for all of my brooms, Roxanne. Christopher Serret. Morning to you. Priscilla Holder. Morning. Felix Hospitalis. Morning, sir. Roxanne, I don't know, since I came back from my trip, even while I was on my trip, it seems sleep, I don't know, getting harder and harder to wake up early. Yeah. And I love my bed. The bed is very sweet this way. Gerald, Pascal, Mansell, morning, Sir, the Patriot, morning. Morning, Arlene. Margaret Thomas, morning, John Cato, morning. Patricia coming up, morning to you, Patricia. Diane Charles, morning, Diane. Joy Ragunanan, morning, Joy. Kurt Shaw, morning, sir. Jennifer Dorset, morning, Jennifer. Leon Joseph, morning to you. Arthur James, morning, sir. Alison Boyce, morning, Alison. Say morning to Mother Tuna Puna, to Angie. Yeah, Roxanne, knock off just I figure it was because of that weather in New York, because as soon as I got back from New York, I started coughing. Carol Boyce, morning, Carol. Listra, Sydney, morning to you. Wizard, morning. Let's see. So it's 6:40. We'll jump into it, and I guess the others will jump on. Natalie F, morning. Right, so I see, the Jennifer Ferron, morning, Jennifer. Denise Brambo, morning to you. So the discussion, yesterday, Glenn Richardson, good morning, sir. Jeremy Lewis, morning, sir. Morning to you. Morning, Carol. Carol Myers, I hope you're doing better, Carol. Right, so I saw that Juliet has decided to depart. Good morning to His Excellency, the President of Pleasantville, Nigel O'Connor, and First Lady Marissa Keegan. Candice Joseph, morning. Yes, nice weather. Carol, well, I guess we have to enjoy it because I keep seeing weather reports from the Met office stating that we are going to have a wetter than usual wet season. So we have been advised to brace for that. So rains are on the way, much needed by our reservoirs, but we'll see how that goes. Most of us love the rain, especially in the night to sleep. But yeah. Morning, Judy. Morning, Sarah. 29 Super C. Morning to you. Right. So I was saying that I saw Juliet would have put out a post yesterday on Facebook indicating that for the time being, the Juju Love show would be off air. And she has made it clear. So she put another post out this morning where she seeks to reinforce that it has nothing to do with the management of the station or Francie Prasad, Tat, or anything like that, but rather personal reasons that she felt she needed to step back, I suppose, for her own sanity, her own mental health, and anything else, right? So, based on an experience that she would have had to, But nevertheless, whatever the circumstances that would have prompted her departure, it is unfortunate because we now have two less voices on the radio that have the level of discourse that the population needs with respect to what the UNC offers or what they don't offer. because I mean I've listened to their replacement in the interim until and they decide till they find someone to fill that spot. And I imagine it may be fortuitous for them because as we draw closer to the general election, the UNC usually brings people on the station. I recall in 2020 and even in 2015, they had in 2015 and 2020 they had the showdown with Biggs and Piper. Remember around lunchtime, midday from 12 to 2 days to have that showdown program, and then I would come on at 4 o'clock to deal with them, to debunk the nonsense that I heard in the down at the Long Branch. Yeah, I mean 2015 they had an individual by the name of Michelle Engliang. Prior to her, there was a Miss Rodriguez, a woman who used to roll her R's and so on, coming and talking a pack of rubbish. Remember that quite clearly. And then Engliang replaced her, and Miss Rodriguez wasn't too pleased and whatnot. And then Engliang was like the female version of Captain Misinformation, Captain Clueless, and Professor Misinformation. So there's an opening, and I wouldn't be surprised if you hear a UNC voice occupying that spot very soon. Yeah, it is not beyond the realm of possibility, knowing the management of that radio station. I said it's unfortunate, but hopefully whatever the situation is, Juliet, it will be sorted out sooner rather than later, and perhaps we can hear Juliet back on the AM, Mr. Ruka, and so on. So, as I say, another 2 bites dust, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, the PNM needs to do some work. They need to get their act together in so far as it pertains to PR. I mean, I keep seeing comments on social media from persons who support the PNM that are calling for better efforts with regard to countering the propaganda that the UNC is spreading. I mean, when you listen to Professor Misinformation and Captain Clueless, just to name a few. I mean, I don't really listen to the others, like the Underground Report, which has some traction. You have Robert Amaro, who we know is not pro-PNM. I heard a clip yesterday from him talking nonsense with respect to, I think it was the kidnapping of Alicia Hussain, who, by the way, I saw last night was released. I think she was found wandering somewhere close to Caroni, the Caroni cremation site or so. She was picked up by passers-by and taken to the St. Joseph police station, and she's now reunited with her family. So that is some good news there, good developments with respect to that. Right? So all those who were talking about, of course, they're not going to give kudos to the police. They say, right, she was released, the police didn't rescue her, and so on. So another opportunity for them to chastise Willa Christopher and chastise the police, and they already started the nonsense that the police was able to find Colvin Booth's son's phone in a matter of hours, and they were able to find Ravi B's dog within a matter of hours, but they couldn't find a human being within a matter of hours. But nevertheless, we are happy that that there was a positive outcome to this situation, that the young lady is alive and well and back home with her family. Yeah, so that is some of the good news there. But coming back to the point I was making before, persons are calling for the party to do more, and I understand. I think it's tonight, is it, the Prime Minister? There's conversations with the Prime Minister in Tobago. But the thing is, since Monday or so, I saw someone post on Facebook asking for the flyer so that they could share it. I only saw the flyer come out yesterday because I've been visiting the PNM's Facebook page, I've been visiting the Prime Minister's Facebook page, the Prime Minister's Instagram page, and I saw nothing advertising it. It was only yesterday I saw they put out a flyer advertising. So again, we can't be doing these things waiting last minute to do these things. The UNC is having Monday night meetings every week. They're having press conferences 2-3 times through the week. They have the Sunday morning wasted time press conference, the 1.5 question Sunday morning press conference, and they are spreading the propaganda, spreading the lies, and the PNM response in counteracting this propaganda is woefully inadequate. That is why you have people calling that program on that station every evening talking rubbish, people who feel they're bright. That is why I am battling these people daily on Facebook. And having engaged a couple of them yesterday, I came to the realization that a lot of these UNC supporters, who we refer to as fully dunce, it's not so much that they're fully dunce. The fact of the matter is that they're not exposed to the truth enough. There are more avenues and platforms for them to access propaganda, lies, misinformation than there is for them to access the truth. So that when it is I present the truth to them, and I don't just speak. For those of you who may see, who follow me on Facebook, and who may see you sometimes some of the things that I post, when I post the articles and I to back up the things that I say, there are actually a few of the supporters of that party who will engage me from an intellectual standpoint. But they would post things that they believe that they know. And then when you present them with the truth, you realize some of them will actually kind of boil down because they didn't know. These things they weren't aware of. And some of them have actually changed their position a little bit because facts are stubborn things. And I present the facts, the evidence to support the facts. I don't do what the others do and come and just, well, when I say others, I mean the propagandists, and just say things. So a lot of them, when they try to engage me, only putting out a set of talking points. And I have to call them on that. I engaged one the other day on another page, on one of those groups, and I gave him the list of things that the PNM has done. And he tried to challenge by itemizing all the things. So I quote him, one of the things I mentioned in the list was the latest project for the zoo, the Family Entertainment Center, in the list. And his response was, for that, well, construction hasn't started on that yet. I said, really? Construction hasn't started yet? And I sent him the article on that project with a big picture showing where the facility is well underway and has been so for quite some time. And of course, he was surprised by that. So I'm guessing he doesn't live in the North. He doesn't visit the North. So he is not aware of these things. And that's another problem too. A lot of the yappers who support that party live in South. They live south of the Caroni Bridge and are unaware of what is happening in the East, unaware of what is happening in the West, what is happening in the North. So all of the development that we who live on this side see on a daily basis, they don't see, so they don't know. And that is why they feel confident to come on social media and say, in the last 9 years, the PNM didn't do nothing. And in the last 9 years, tell me name 2 things or 10 things the PNM did. And when you give it to them, they're surprised because they don't know. They're not seeing pictures. The media might talk about it once. And they may not look at the media house that might show it. Right? So all the things that are happening, they're not seeing it. What is happening with respect to the highway from Valencia to Toco? When last week, yes, you could go on the Facebook page or the website of the Ministry of Works and see these things, but that is insufficient. People aren't going to say, well, all right, I have some time on my hand. Let me go and pull up this ministry's website and see what they have. Let's see what's happening in the country, what the PNM doing. People will not do that. You need to engage the platforms that people are using. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is. That is where you're going to get the information out, and UNC is using that very well to spread their propaganda. Many TikTok clips of TikTok things people send me with all kind of misinformation. And I get so upset when I listen to these things and I'm saying, wow, these people really believe what they're saying. They do. Because where is the counter? Where is the truth? In the absence of truth, they believe that is true. That is their truth. And the number of voices that is speaking the truth and sharing the information continues to diminish. So who else we have? So on 91.9, we have Sharon. We have Google. I don't really listen to Dale, but based on the last couple of days, listening to him holding on the fort for Juliet and so on, I realized that it seems he may have changed his tune a bit, because as I would have told you all, when I departed the station, what was told to me was that, they felt basically I was too PNM leaning, right? Knocking the UNC. And they wanted to use the words of, I don't even know if Robert is still there, the station manager, Robert. They're looking to change up the dynamic a little bit, right? And bring somebody who is a little more balanced. Because I wasn't balanced. I was just one-sided leaning. But I realize now the the flavor or that balance that existed or was supposed to exist in the earlies seems to have shifted. So now I see the individual seems to speak more for the PNM now than what he originally used to do in trying to bring when he used to go out on the street and do videos and try to be balanced. Seems that balance has gone out of the window. What has prompted that, I don't know. As I said, I could speak for Sharon and Google. There's that. And then we have I-95.5, we have Darian, we have John and John on our station, and that's about it on that station. And on social media, we have myself, Jenny. That's about it. If I missed anybody, please let me know. But I don't know. Right. Yeah, so I mean the conversation now about I can't believe we have people who are so against this cricket academy. Something that would benefit the country. But you see, they're so myopic and can't see beyond the nose. So all they're focusing on is, well, we have a cricket academy already, the Brian Lara Cricket Academy, why we need another one. And it is only persons who are misinformed would make such a statement. But again, what is being done? I have been battling supporters of that other party constantly for the last few days on that topic. Coming to tell me we already have a cricket academy. We do not have a cricket academy as was envisioned by Mr. Manning in Vision 2020. The cricket academy was supposed to be a live-in facility where the players would live on the compound, along with the coaching staff and so on, and they would also do their academic studies there because they would be living in, so you don't live in, and then you leave to go to school and come back. So in a sense, the academy would also have been a secondary school or provided academic opportunities for the players. So it would have been a true living facility, and I likened it a couple of days ago to the police training academy. When you decide to become a police officer and you sign up and you are recruited, you stay in the academy for 6 months. Yes, they may give you a couple of weekends to leave, I think, but for the most part, you stay and you live on the compound and you do everything there for that period of time. You are trained until you pass out. It was the same concept that Mr. Manning had for the Brian Lara Cricket Academy, but the facilities to allow for that living aspect does not exist. In fact, I think it was in 2018 or something, so they were working with Ken Butcher to develop an academic program for the potential players, and I don't think that was completed. So all of these things are not in place. But obviously, to construct that facility takes money. So we have an opportunity now to have somebody else whose pockets are very deep to build an academy, state of the art, right? That is far better than anything we would have been able to build here because of financial constraints. We have a prototype in India. As the Prime Minister said when he went to India, when you look at scale, everything in India is bigger because you're dealing with a population of 1.2 billion, so everything is bigger. And we have somebody, 30 acres. 30 acres is what was allocated, not 5, not 10. So when I hear them talking foolishness about, oh, they take the facility that was given to Panchenbego, was Panchenbego given 30 acres? So driving down the highway now has taken new meaning and new perspective for me. So when I look across there to see, and I look at this open expanse of land with absolutely nothing other than that edifice, that unsightly edifice that has been there for years, and a fenced-round portion not too far from that. And when, as far as the eye could see after that, is just open land with nothing to look at. Land that is just there doing nothing. And all of these persons who are now concerned about the land and the government, illegal for the government to negotiate, for the Prime Minister to negotiate with a private business. I don't know where Professor Misinformation has got his things, probably because it's sounding and making sense to him. But he is totally clueless. Always coming every evening to talk about we come to educate and inform. And I keep having to say, you cannot educate and inform anybody until you educate and inform your blasted self. And he is highly uneducated and most misinformed. But if you want to come and throw a tantrum every afternoon based on folly and foolishness, you don't know what it is that you're talking about, and you come brave and bold because you don't care who listening. Yes, you know you have your sycophantic supporters. And yes, you have your mindless, fully dunce regular listeners, but there are also persons who are in the know. And when on the rare occasion that we may listen, just happen to be switching stations and say, let me give Wale 5 minutes. It is very annoying to the point where you feel to take a pencil and stab yourself in the eye. Because I can't believe that you have people so dotish, so clueless, so vacuous, so empty-headed on the radio station talking that trash, and Iowa continues to allow that foolishness. I would hate to believe that Iowa is not aware of the truth and listens to this trash and supports it. That you move from 1 day to 5? From 1 day to 5? Seriously? 5 days of a constant diet of lies, misinformation, propaganda, and absolute hogwash. You know how annoying that is? But they're there, right? They're there. Citizens of this country, so they're not considering on the facility, right, to construct. Because I don't think we're going to see boatloads or plane loads of Indians coming to Trinidad. The question was posed to the Prime Minister at his press conference, and he indicated that there would be technical support. So the technical aspects, the architects and so on, and other technical persons would come from India. But the actual construction of the facility would be done by persons from Trinidad. So it will create job opportunities. But the very same people who have been crying for the last how many years, no jobs and people suffering and they have no work and people losing their job and all this kind of nonsense. Here it is, there is an opportunity, and we're talking 30 acres. You know what could be built on 30 acres? Who knows what possibilities they may see when they come and realize, well, we can change up this because it's 30 acres, we can add this, we can add that. But again, it creates an opportunity because obviously when the facility is completed, there would be senior representatives. Who knows, Mr. Ambani himself might come to Trinidad for the opening of the facility. I'm sure if the Prime Minister and the government invite him personally to come, Mukesh himself, the chairman of the Reliance Group, may come to the country. And based on how that is treated and handled, and we need to be wary that obviously this facility will not be finished before the next general election. So if, in the words of Mr. Manning, PNM people decide to play fast and loose with their vote, all who say, me voting, I think PNM this, PNM that, and I'm not voting. Or those soft-heads who want to take Chin up like 2010 and say you want to go back and give Kamala your vote. Not because you believe she could do any better, but because you're just vexed with Rowley and the PNM. And you want to send a message. Send what message? When you send a message and these clowns get into office and doing foolishness, and it's worse, you're worse off than when you come back and say, boy, it's better I did vote for the PNM, yes? As I keep saying, you cannot, your vote is non-refundable. Once you cast your ballot and you give them the opportunity to get into office, you have to stay with that for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days. You can't go back to the EBC and say, I make a mistake, look, my receipt, I want back my vote. It doesn't work that way. And we saw between 2010 to 2015 what that gives. And now the 10 years of not having access, after tasting the treasury for 5 years, 10 years of not having access to it, right? That greed, that thirst, and that hunger to get back into the treasury is so great. They will do anything. So understand this time. Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, if, God forbid, she were to win the election next year, certainly would only have one more term as Prime Minister. Right? Because she's what, 72 now? By the time election come around, she'll be 73. And we see her condition at 73. So certainly at 78, I don't think she could make another run. So that would be it for her. So everybody who latching onto her curtail and who looking for an opportunity to thief, understand that they say, well, we ain't sure for more than 5 years or no. So we need to take full advantage of this and thief as much as we could this time around. You feel the incident, who anticipating, who want to be ambassador and who want to be chairman of this state board and that state board, and how much contracts they're going to give and all of these different things, how much kickback they're going to get. They had 10 years to think about it, those who did before and who understand the system now. What is happening with that case with the contract mill that was discovered in 2015, 2016, where you had 3 persons in a back room in EFCL backdating contracts for contractors so they could come forward and say, well, they did this and they did that so that this administration would pay them. And what is the thing that upsets me with these supporters of that party? They know full well about backdating in this fiasco with the Auditor General, right? But they seem to forget about that. That where it is the party that they support they want to come back into office had a whole contract mill with people paying people to backdate contracts, to rob them, to rob the citizens of this country, to rob the taxpayers. And they have nothing to say about that, right? Robbery without a gun. But we want more of that. All these contractors who came forward to say that the government owed them this amount of money and that amount of money, cases that are currently pending before the court. These people fail to realize you put them back in office, what do you think going to happen? They'll drop the case because they had to eat our food from that. So it is in their best interest to discontinue these matters, which they continue to tell us is PNM propaganda. This matter with EMBD and Munilal, right? Where he's yet to put in a defense. Only breaks in talking about they waiting for a judgment from the Privy Council because the Privy Council judgment might make a difference and so on. Put in your defense. If you're innocent, put in a defense. It does the Privy Council ruling shouldn't matter. If as you claim you are innocent, your hands are clean and your heart is pure, your defense is not going to change. So the outcome of the Privy Council matter shouldn't change what you put in your defense. So I don't understand. But that is the bollocks that they want to come in and they don't think. They don't think. The truth is not going to change. So put in your defense. So what you're trying to tell us, what you would put in now would change based on what the Privy Council says? Your wording would change. It is what it is. So if you're innocent, put in your defense. I'm innocent, I ain't do nothing. But no, one set of stall tactics. I'm hoping this case will drag out until after the general election and they win, and then that's the end of that. The government in power said this was foolishness, this was a PNM witch hunt, enough money spent on that, done away with that case. And Munilal gets off scot-free to laugh all the way to the bank, right? And to buy more Bijan and waterworks to hide his grey hair. This is what is at stake. I'm looking at people, again, one of the individuals that I was engaging with, telling me nonsense about, continue to vote for the PNM for bad governance and for more murders and more home invasions and so on. And I had to remind them that for 107 years in this country, murderers could not apply for bail. Murder accused. Once you are accused of murder, every piece of clothing that you have, tell your family member, put it in a what is it called? A grip, and bring it for you, because you're going to be inside for a while, right? One of my very good friends who is a criminal attorney, he said, Tamira, he said, if you get charged for murder, brace yourself for at least 10 years on remand before your case court, right? 10 years. So they know once you get caught, you're inside there for a while. And I had to let them know. That was for 107 years. From since 1917, the people back then when crime certainly wasn't what it is today, when it wasn't what it is today, and the atrocities or the kind of murders that were taking place in 1917 wasn't close to what we see taking place today. And back then, they saw the need to put laws in place to ensure that if you're accused of murder, your backside would be inside for a long time. But in 2022, Jayanti Lakshmi, Anna Ram Logan, and other UNC attorneys decided we need to change that, because we have a whole constituency of prospects, a whole constituency of potential clients just sit down on remand that we could apply for bail for. So let me go to the court and fix that. And they fixed it. And so now you have a lot of persons, I listened to Robert Amara, that clip that Dale played yesterday, Amara talking about murderers on the outside and so on. You ever hear Amar talk about the fact that persons accused of murder could now access bail thanks to the UNC? So when you talk about murders who are outside and because the police not catching people, it's not only because even when the police catch them, they're still getting out. They're still outside because they can get bail. And they're out on bail on murder and still committing other crimes and getting bail for that other crime while they're on bail for murder. In another jurisdiction, that would have been it. 3 strikes. 3 strikes and you're out. You're inside. But here, no, you could kill a man today, right? You get out on bail. Next week you commit another crime, you bring him before the court, you apply for bail, and you get in bail again. Once Once you have access to the funds and the wherewithal, you're good to go. But we're not giving consideration to that. Because apparently when these guys are caught and they come before the judicial officer, at that point in time, they see a light. Yeah? They suddenly decide they're going to change their ways. So when they're out on bail, they're going to give up a life of crime, they're going to turn to the Lord, they're going to get baptized and look for legitimate employment. Apparently that is what happens. Yeah? So that's why we're giving them bail. It is not that they go out and continue to live the lifestyle that they were living just last week before they were caught. The lifestyle that they know. So the police take the guns that the police take that they catch me with. Well, I know where to get more. Right? And that is what we have to deal with. But they're not speaking about that side of it. Eh? Yeah, blame Hines and blame Rowley for the crime situation. The UNC had nothing to do with that. Every piece of legislation that this administration has brought in the last 9 years to try and keep people behind bars, which is critical. Get them off the streets. There's less of them outside here to commit crimes. The bail amendment bill, they refuse to support. The anti-gang legislation, they refuse to support. All of these pieces of legislation that would have denied bail to these men, repeat gun offenders. The police catch you the first time with a gun, all right. You make a mistake. You're 18, 19, 20 years old. You get caught up in that foolishness. First time offender. No, all right. You say, we'll get a little bail. No problem. But when you are a repeat offender, and when that legislation was brought, the Attorney General made the point in pleading with the UNC. We are saying we're looking at repeat gun offenders. This legislation is targeting repeat gun offenders. Persons who have 2 and 3 and 4 cases before the court for gun possession. And you come and you catch a next one. Something wrong with you. You like guns. And we don't know what it is that you're doing with these guns. So we need to get you off the street because you are beyond the help. You're not interested in rehabilitation. So it doesn't matter how many cases you have before the court for gun possession. Every time you get bail and we send you back outside, you're going to catch a next gun and get a next gun. So you need to sit down and chill out behind bars. And the UNC say, no, we don't agree with that. We don't agree with that. We're not supporting that. Why? Because when you deny these men bail, according to Jayanti Lakshmi, you're creating single-parent homes. Right? Single-parent homes. And we know these guys have baby mothers all over the place. And they need to go out and commit crime to get a little money because they need to provide the baby mothers with the little kakada to buy milk and buy pampers and send the children to school and all of these different things. They need to do their fatherly duties now. And if they're sitting behind bars, they can't do that. So we cannot deny them bail. Let them go back outside there and be productive members of society. Because we know what single-parent homes give. Yeah, you imagine a senator talking that bull spit. But the supporters of that party would not breed her for that rubbish, talking nonsense. Well, what if the person is innocent? And what if the police frame the person? What if they're guilty? And all of them who talking that hogwash about what if the person is innocent and so on, and the Constitution guarantees you the right to access bail and so on. Yes, it does, right? And we need to defend that right and so on, right? But they will talk that rubbish until it comes home to them, until they are the victims of home invasion, until they find themselves in a situation where a member is killed, and then they go change the tune. They will change the tune when it's too late. When instead you should be holding the leadership of your party responsible to let them know, listen, we can't play games with crime. So for the 5 years that Anand Ram Logan was Attorney General, when all he had to do, if it is he so felt that murder accused needed to get bail because it was wrong, all he had to do, take the easy route. He was the Attorney General and they were in office and they had the majority. He just bring a simple amendment to the legislation. Right? Come to the parliament and amend the law, and you all had 29 seats. You didn't need the support of the PNM. And you could have just voted that into law. But for the 5 years that he was Attorney General, for the 5 years, 3 months and 14 days they were in office, they didn't see the need to amend the law because back then, it was a good idea to deny murder accused access to bail because they realized the impact that would have on keeping crime down and keeping the murder rate down. While they were in office, nobody woke up one morning with the epiphany, denying murder accused bail is not a good thing, We need to amend the law. It never occurred to them for that 5 years. But they come out of office and all of a sudden, they wake up one morning, light bulb moment, yeah, we need to go to the court and ask them to overturn murder as a non-bailable offense. The same legislation that they brought, right, the sunset clause with respect to denying bail for 120 days for repeat gun offenders. It was a good idea when they brought the legislation in 2013. And they brought it because they needed to fight crime and they saw the impact it would have on fighting crime. But as soon as they come out of office, that ain't making sense. That's not a good idea. That can't be used to fight crime. Forget that. So we're not supporting it. And because this is something that impinges on a person's constitutional right, you need a special majority. So they know it. And as Mr. Munilal said, and I keep maintaining, I say this is why members of government, unfortunately, have to tread lightly with things that they see. You all recall that when this administration came in 2015, and one of the first debates that they had in the parliament was the budget, right? And in her contribution to the budget, when Shamfa Kojo made the statement, we are in charge now, deal with it. Munilal has held that in his craw for the last 9 years and is desperate for an opportunity to reciprocate. And I would never forget when he got up to make his contribution and he told Shamfa, he said, "All in charge now? Well, all right. All in charge? Well, we will see. You tell us all in charge and we have to deal with it." Well, when it is that you see legislation comes before this parliament that requires the support of the opposition, right? Whose support you're going to get? Yeah, it had to be God, not ours. This is Munilal saying that. When you all bring important legislation here that requires a special majority, whose support you're going to get? Not ours. It had to be God. You all will not get our support. He said that. So right away, he told you from the outset, I don't care if it's good legislation, if it is solid legislation, if it is needed legislation, all you need our support. And since you say all you're in charge, and we had to deal with it, well, we will show all you. We will teach all you a lesson that all you're not in charge, especially when it comes to significant legislation. And since then, they have held true to that promise. Because Munilal was so incensed by that statement by Shamfa Kojo, and he has repeated it on numerous occasions. You can go back on Hansard and read what he said. So he put them on notice. Or they might get a little amendment, may be able to pass. This is what he said. You all might be able to pass a little amendment here and a little amendment there. Right? But when it comes to major legislation, don't expect any support from us since all in charge. So he told him because Shamfa said something like that got him upset. And for the last 9 years, whenever they have debates with respect to major legislation, the anti-gang legislation, the bail amendment bill, and so on, he is one of the foremost speakers that they have. When he comes to talk about they supported the anti-gang legislation because when they look at the number of persons who've been arrested under this legislation, they're reading like a binary card 100111000. So the police are not arrested enough people. So they're not arresting enough gang members. So the legislation don't make sense. So that is why today the police find themselves hamstrung. That they even lock up a member of a gang, they back out the next day or next 2 days. Right? And that is responsible governance. But they complaining about the state of crime today. And when you point out to their supporters the contribution that they have made to the crime situation, they may want to hear that. Yeah, all you only want to blame Kamla. Well, Kamla not in power and the UNC not in power. The UNC does not need to be in power when it comes to special majority legislation. Their votes are needed, even though they're not in power. And that is why the government always has to come now to twist up the law and remove this and remove that in order to be able to pass the legislation, to remove the need for a special majority. And then when they want to come and say the government watered down the legislation. Well, that's the only options. Is either we water it down to be able to pass it with our simple majority, or we beg all for support, you all refuse, and the bill is defeated, and there is no law in place. So half a law better than none at all. And this is where we are at. But they wouldn't go and organize. I think they're organizing some protests downtown today at 1 p.m. Lennox Smith and those other clubs, right? Some protests, but they wouldn't organize a protest for that. The pushback movement wouldn't organize a protest around the savannah for that type of foolishness. Robert Amar wouldn't use his platform to talk about that. They wouldn't do that. The Law Association wouldn't come out and tell you that. They wait until after the fact. So after the fact, when murder was overturned as a non-bailable offense, then you have people like Avery Sinanan come and say, well, maybe we need to relook at that. No, Avery, you're always supposed to look at it before, while it was in motion, while it was in process, while the matter was before the court. You're always supposed to make your voices heard. You're always supposed to come out as the law association and speak to the public and let them know the impact that this development could have with respect to the state of crime. But all you sit down there because it's all your partner is the one bringing the motion, and some of your greedy wretches, because for all your crime is a business. The more crime it have is the more clients you could get and the more money you could make. So you'll realize, well, if Anand get through with this, well, boy, yeah, I have about 7 or 8 or 10 clients sit down and remand. I could apply for bail for them. Yeah? And there's money, whether they get the bail or they don't get the bail, there's money in my pocket. Because all they want to drive Prado and Mercedes and Jaguar at the expense of the citizens we call it figure all safe. Half of these lawyers who pack in, right? They have FUL. They want to talk about the Prime Minister's security detail and all of that. Kamala have security detail too. And she uses them as a human crutch, but nevertheless. But plenty of them packing, they have their guns, so they feeling safe. They live in gated communities, so they figure they're safe. And it's some of their very own clients who committing these crimes. Their very own clients. So I don't know if they figure, well, nah, that's my client, so he wouldn't come at me. Yeah, but he don't know who connected to you. He don't know where you live in. So when it is he see a nice big house and he looking for home invasion, you figure, you know, where when he reaches, he said, oh gosh, the boss is you, but I know you live in here. sorry, yeah, the boss, sorry. You feel like you're going to pick up your phone and call the police and say they were just a victim of a home invasion, and it's your client that you got up last week? Nah. Let me wait for you to rob somebody else and get catch, and then you will call me. And these are patriots. So I saw an article in the Newsday a couple of days ago. Charles threatens to expose UNC campaign secrets. This is Rodney Charles. Naparima MP Rodney Charles has threatened to publicly expose UNC political secrets he has kept silent about for the last 8 years if his loyalty to UNC is challenged because he supports a call for the party to hold internal elections. Charles claimed opposition leader and UNC political leader Kamla Prasad-Bisesa has intimate knowledge of the secrets he referred to. He made these statements when he addressed a community meeting in Woodland on May 19th. Also addressing the meeting on Way Down to her. Charles said he and former UNC MP Faisal Karim, now deceased, were members of the UNC's campaign team in 2000. The only time the party has defeated the PNM in a general election without forming a coalition with any other party. The campaign slogan, Performance Beats All Talk, was coined by Charles and Karim together with US political strategist James Carville. Charles was UNC's campaign manager from September 7, 2015 general election, when the party was in government, leading the then PP coalition. He said, remember the 2015 election and the spin the wheel nonsense? I'll repeat that. He said, remember the 2015 election and the spin the wheel nonsense? Well, today I leveling with you and speaking the truth after 8 years of keeping silent. Before the 2015 general election, Charles appeared in different parts of the country with Rowley's Wheel of Misfortune, which he spun and made claims about the Prime Minister. Charles explained the reasons why he had to break his silence. So I remember that spin the wheel. Every day he in a different corner dressed in a three-piece suit with the sun beating down on his bald head and the only wiping sweat, spinning wheel and wiping sweat. Oh gosh, while the rest of them who send you out, they sit down in air condition and laughing at you. You there like a little fool. Spinning wheel. Morning, all you come. Spin the wheel of Rowley Misfortune. Yeah? Sweating like a pimp with one hooker. The hot blazing sun with your bald head. You go, every morning you had to rubbing down his head with suntan lotion. Fool. But now he calls it nonsense. Also, it took 8 years for you to realize, 9 years for you to realize it was nonsense, Rodney. 9 years for you to realize it was nonsense. So it wasn't nonsense when you were doing it. When it was proposed to you, it wasn't nonsense. Right? But this is the man, anyway. That's the man that they had as Trinidad and Tobago's permanent representative to the United Nations between 2010 to 2014, right? Take him 9 years to realize that spin the wheel was nonsense. He says, I do so because it is unfortunate that bloggers associated with the UNC and their desire to support the status quo They are busy spreading PNM propaganda about me. There are people on our side who will lick us up in order to ensure they will remain in power. Charles said, 2015, as the PP sought to be re-elected for a second term, he claimed the election campaign was at one stage micromanaged by then Prime Minister. Well, we know that Kamala 2015, you all created a whole election campaign around one person. Charles said no decision in the campaign was taken without her knowledge and her approval. So I wonder, so all those ads that you all were running, in some cases, all those racial ads and racist ads and so on, are you telling us now, Rodney, that Mrs. Prasad says so contrary to what she said, had knowledge of these things? Tell us now. He said the campaign he continued became pure hell for him as campaign manager, with the UNC bringing in consultants from Canada, England, Barbados, and the US to advise. How will they pay these consultants? You all don't have money to build a home, right? 35 years later, and you're like the littlest hobo, knocking from pillow to post, all you're homeless. You don't have money to build a headquarters, but all you had money to hire consultants from Canada, England, Barbados, and the US to advise. With which money? Where the money came from to pay for that? That's all the money, all the thief from taxpayers, but talking about Balize House and Balize House, and where the PNM get money to build Balize House. He reminded the audience about the UNC's No Rowley campaign in 2015. Leader Dr. Rowley, now Prime Minister, to discredit him and win voter support for the PP. Charles said the entire campaign was the brainchild of a Canadian consultant, and there are emails that I have to prove, one of which was sent to 30 persons. He recalled being shown information that the No Rowley campaign would work. In a campaign, one operates on trust with one's colleagues and information provided by professionals. I had to trust them. That No Rowley campaign had the full support of the then Prime Minister. That No Rowley campaign had the full support of the then Prime Minister. You all remember what was included in that No Rowley campaign? Vanilla Allen shopping coming in the parliament and talking a pack of rubbish about Dr. Rowley rape, and his father is a rapist and he's a rapist and all of these different things, and his bombastic behavior and all of these different things. And after Vanilla did that, right? After she did that foolishness, the public was shocked. Remember when the media interviewed Mr. Munilal and Mrs. Prasad and asked them what are their thoughts on Vanilla Allen Toppin's presentation, and Munilal said, "We're proud of her. She did very well. She did very well." So now Rodney is telling us the No Rowley campaign had the full support of the then Prime Minister. She also supported Vanilla Allen Toppin when she did what she did in the parliament. That was a nail in the UNC's coffin. So all these secrets, so now he coming out and tell all his secrets, but let me see. Let's see what he says here. He says in these circumstances, Charles said he had to defend himself. If I don't do that, I will end up as a national boboli. If challenged, I will release emails and other correspondence to back up today what I am saying. If they keep quiet, I keep quiet too. Because it is my party and I don't want my party to look bad. So Rodney Charles is telling you, he is in possession of information, emails and other information that if released, will show you that the UNC are no damn good. He is telling you here, if they keep quiet, I keep quiet too, because it is my party and I don't want my party to look bad. What would make your party look bad, Rodney? So you telling me I should vote for your party, put your party in government, but you're also telling me that you are in possession of information, you and others, that if released, will make your party look bad. That if released, the population will see that you're a bunch of crooks. That if you release this information, the population would think even worse of your party than they already do. This is Rodney Charles telling you that. He says if they keep quiet, I keep quiet too. Right? So once all they leave me alone, don't bother to try and mash my corn, stop saying things about me that are not true, and I will hush my mouth. But if all they do that, only mash my corn, I will release the information. And only will like what I release, and you only will like how the party will look after that. He's telling you that in an article here. But you still have Professor Misinformation and Captain Clueless coming every evening to tell you. Right? I saw Professor Misinformation went to the crime talks in Lavantil. Right? I saw a picture, it was posted on the debunking page, a most disgusting picture. Most disgusting picture. Actually, African kneel down in front of Mrs. Prasad Bisesa by the stage and waving flag and blowing whistle. Kneel down. How when people not doing that? How when people are doing that? These clowns from Lavantil, Kamala coming on going down on their knees to genuflect and pay obeisance. Oh, great leader. Yes, yes. She should have called for a sacrifice. Stupid. Stupid. I looked at the meeting they had on Monday. I mean, you could see, and I love when they post these videos. When she coming in to the meeting, right? They know she likes to stop and greet and shake hand and kiss children and all kind of thing. And you could see that there were persons there who they paid to come. Persons who are totally disgusted and repulsed by Mrs. Prasad Bisesa. So she coming in and she extending her hand and some of the people stand up there. They in UNC jerseys there and they just stand up there. They refuse to stretch out their hand to shake her hand. And if they do it in this weak, limp kind of way. Oh God, why do they bring me here for this? That's what they bring me here for. No smile on the face, the people serious. She putting out her hand to shake and the people just there like they recoil, they just move along now. Go on now. I didn't want to see or hear you. And you see these, check it out, the videos are there and you would see for yourself. Her own supporters, well, I guess these people don't support her. But you're there looking to shake hand and the officer there and you're holding on to her. And then I think there was this one gentleman there who was overwhelmed by seeing her and he wanted to kiss her, give her a kiss, or she hold on to her hand and the officer had to rough him up a little bit. Poor fella. Poor fella. Give him a little rougher. But you see it. Even her own supporters, some of them have turned against her. They realize that under her leadership, that party will go nowhere. Well, provided, of course, that PNM supporters do what they need to do. But the party has work to do. We can't be having a cottage meeting, a public meeting once in a blue moon. We can't be doing that. Yes, we have conversations with the Prime Minister, but we need to understand that that format at this stage is not what is needed. The Prime Minister will come and he will speak and persons will ask questions and he will respond very good. But that format is not what is needed. We need the public meeting where the Prime Minister come and he talk for 45 minutes or an hour and 15 minutes and so on. And you talk to the people and let them know this is what your government is doing. And you juxtapose that against what existed before. To remind the persons, it's good to remind. And that's saying the conversations with the Prime Minister are good. But it is persons who come in to ask questions on things that might affect them personally. And other than the Prime Minister's discourse before opening up the forum to take questions, there's only so much the Prime Minister can say. I imagine you probably come and talk about his trip. But even so, I am just saying, this is a critical election, which is about just over a year away. We cannot be having one public meeting I can't even say once a month, once a quarter. It's once in a blue moon, we get a public meeting. So we had to be on the lookout. Hey, we had a meeting, well. And then sometimes a public meeting is announced and we all get up waiting for this public meeting and a day before, you hear it postponed for whatever reason. And then we had to wait another 3 months and another 4 months for another meeting. Meanwhile, the UNC having meeting every Monday. Press conferences 2-3 times for the week. Spreading their propaganda. And the PNM people here, we just there with an empty bowl waiting. Waiting. When, Lord? When we'll get our next meeting? And the number of our voices continues to diminish on the airwaves, on the various platforms for one reason or the other. So PNM people are starved for information. That is why they were so locked on to Juju, because there's so few avenues that they could go to listen to the truth, to hear a different perspective. So few. And when it is that these opportunities drive, what do you think going to happen? Persons who are inclined towards listening to talk shows, they're going to end up listening to the foolishness. I don't want to listen to them two clowns, but I will listen anyway because I have nothing else to listen to. Thank goodness we have Darian from 4 to 6. But then Darian is only on from really substantive from Monday to Wednesday. Tuesday is the Tobago segment, so you don't really get Darian getting into the issues. And then Friday, he's not there. Saturday morning, you have John and John. But John and John isn't entirely 3 hours of political talk. They will bring in people to talk about different things, human interest. That's what they had, I think last week, some woman who was a psychologist or something like that. So, yes, they would introduce and they will talk a little bit about the politics, but they don't get into it as in-depth as is required. But you have the underground report, 3 hours every day, feeding lies and misinformation to their supporters constantly. And then you have their supporters now feeding this to persons who are not in the know, persons who are inclined to support the PNM, persons who might be fence sitters. And they hear something like, what? I have a partner. This man always sending me things on WhatsApp. And I always had to be upgrading, boss, do not send me these things. How many times you have some of these things and I always debunking it, and then you come in to send me more things and tell me, yeah, well, let me see you debunk that now. Let me see you debunk that. And then when I hit him the facts now, he's like, wait, boy, I didn't know that. I don't know. How many times you want to go through that? Do not send me these things. Now, it benefits sometimes for him to send it because I might say, hey, there's something I need to play so people will be aware of what is outside it. So stop sending me this foolishness. I am amazed about the level of propaganda that is outside there and the level of ignorance. But in the same way, we may listen to their foolishness. That is why the PNM needs to step up their game and put things out there so that their people could hear. But their people not hearing it, they're not seeing it, and they continue to say the government ain't do nothing and the government ain't do nothing. And when you hit them with the long list of things that the government do, they shocked. Where all this is, how come we ain't know about that? Why the PNM ain't talking about that if that is true? I can't answer that question. I'm not, and I could only do so much. So, let me see if I get this thing here. Yeah, so that, well, we look forward to the conversations with the Prime Minister this evening. See what we hear. Let me see something here. I wanted to touch on something quickly. Let me see if I get it here. So, aside from the academy, you know what else? I spoke to you all about the East Port of Spain Development Company launching this latest initiative for budding entrepreneurs or potential entrepreneurs in East Port of Spain, where they're providing them with $20,000 to start a business. But they took it further, and now they're providing them with free space in New City Mall, because they probably have some stalls that empty. It makes no sense to just have it there, they didn't earn any income, so we might as well give it to people to encourage them, because we're trying to treat with the crime situation, the crime epidemic in that area on a different level. So it's not all about put a whole police presence and let the police go in there and kick down and rough up them young boys and them grab them by the scruff of their pants or by the neck, so until hey, jump in the Maria, we're going down the road. They understand that we could take a different approach, a softer approach and a more effective approach, right? That will create opportunities in the community. That the young people can see, well, hey, my mother started a business thanks to the PNM. She got a little $20,000 grant and she got a store in New City Mall. So being fed the constant diet of foolishness from the UNC, telling them, well, the PNM don't care about Africa. They only care about the 1%. And they only doing things for the 1% and whatnot. Now they see intangibly coming into the community and giving even these young men the opportunities to turn their life around. Turn away from a life of crime and start a business. You know, they have a problem with that. When you're reading the comments of the supporters, yeah, so it's only East Port of Spain that I told you all in Shan Ishmael's post that if there's one thing about the PNM, they don't hide the hate. So because the PNM has decided to take direct intervention in this community, where you have a lot of crime taking place, crime that spirals to other parts of the country, because a lot of the people who commit, some of the guys who committing these crimes across the country come from these areas. The supporters of that party have a problem with that. And wanting to know, so when are they going and do that south of the Caroni Bridge? All you always put in washing all your mouth on Lavantil and on East Port of Spain, Duncan Street, Nelson Street, all of these different streets, Beatam, Sealers. All you have nothing good to say about these areas, because nothing good could come out from there as far as all they can see. So they have a problem with the government using that approach to deal with the crime situation and complaining, oh, that money for votes. Well, there is no The PNM real know how to fool their supporters, right? That's what it is. The PNM real know how to fool their supporters and all kind of nonsense. There's no election time coming when they want to share out money for votes. They are not seeing the tangible benefits that could come from this. So they have a problem with the government providing an opportunity for these people in East Port of Spain to be able to start a business. Because as far as they're concerned, the only thing the people in that part of Trinidad should get is Colombia earning $69 a day to paint derelict buildings for 3 months, and after that they don't know where the supper coming from. Get them food card and baby grant. More money, $500 a month to make child. That's all they should get. Nothing else. So they shouldn't get a grant. But when the farmers, 50 farmers just the other day got $100,000 each, a grant of $100,000, no payback. These same people wasn't asking, so when the rest of the country go in and get that? They weren't concerned about that. They weren't asking that question. I have a problem with 50 farmers who they believe, and they believe that the farming community is predominantly East Indian. They have no problem with, in the first tranche, $5 million given out to 50 farmers. $100,000 for them to invest in their business, to make more money, to boost that community, but to help the East Port of Spain persons who getting 5 times less, they getting 20,000. You have a problem with that. So the person who trying to make ends meet to stay out of a life of crime and selling on Charlotte Street and Henry Street, Frederick Street and environs, who's selling in East Side Plaza, right? Every time I walk through East Side Plaza, it hardly ever have. I wonder sometimes how these small businesses in East Side Plaza survive. Because most of the time you go inside there, because when I go to visit my partner, Dean Francois, I don't see nobody inside there buying nothing. And the quality of African wear that they have inside there, quality of African wear, we're supporting that. But these guys, you know what they choose to labor on? They're not going to engage in a life of crime. They have a little business and maybe they might get a sale once in a while, once in a blue moon. Because, you know, for some reason, African people, we're not inclined towards purchasing African wear. But as soon as Diwali come around, we quick to run to Priyas and all of these. We go into the Indian Expo. We go into the Diwali Nagara. I need to get a kurta boy. I need to get a shalwar. I need to get that. Yeah. We line up. Nothing wrong with that, you know. Nothing wrong with diversity. But where is the balance? Right? They have about 2-3 kurtas packed in the closet. But you wouldn't see one dashiki. Not one. Right? So you have these people in East Side Plaza there as an opportunity. They could get. Now, I saw an article yesterday where East Port of Spain, where they decided to give some of the existing business owners training in business. These are people who are already established. To get them a little training so that they could take their business to the next level. You know they have a problem with that too? They complain in the picture that the news they put up had some what appeared to be persons probably in their late 50s and 60s sit down in the audience. So where the young people? That should be for young people 18 to 35. Why they had to be given up? Didn't read the article, did not read the article. So apparently these people with the established businesses and looking to take it to the next level, they shouldn't get anything. These people who looking to build a business that they could pass on to their grandchildren, leave it as it is. They shouldn't get training. I think it's a 2-week training, teaching them, well, okay, this is how you can market your product. So it's not just you set up a stall and waiting for people to pass through the mall to buy. You could set up a Facebook page, an Instagram page. You could go on TikTok. These are the things. So we can help you to do that. They have a problem with that. So these businesses must remain stagnant and depend on, well, if I get 2-3 sales for the month, hopefully I make enough money to pay my bills. And just keep stagnant. They shouldn't go to the next level. And this is the problem that I have. Where are the persons to defend this? To say, listen, they have so many programs for other persons to participate in. Allow the people now. Let them get something specific for them now. Why it is we all be like, relax yourself, let the people get something, must need food. It's not even, in this instance, it's not putting money in their hand, no. It's just giving them an opportunity to be able to get a different perspective on how they could better manage their business to make a little more money. And if it is somebody could move from East Side Plaza to go down to New City Mall, it's under the same umbrella, where it is they might have a little more foot traffic and they could make a little more money so that they have money, instead of they could help their child or help their grandchild. So if it is that the child is struggling and they have money to send the children to school, grandpa or grandma could help and say, hey, look, a little something. Don't worry, I will pay for him for his passage, or I will buy his books, and I will buy his uniform. I will take care of them things. Allow the people to get in that position where they could do that. So instead of the push, boy, come now, because mommy and daddy don't have money to send you to school. So when them going to work to make little ends meet just to pay the rent, buy food and whatever else, and the child home, and the person on the block, boy, come now, hold her there. You go sell her there from when they go to school, you go sell her there from there, right? Making them fodder for the gang leader and the drug pusher. The government is creating an opportunity for the families, for the parents and grandparents and whoever else who have business to be able to improve their lot so that they could make a more direct financial intervention and prevent things like them have a problem with it. Or the government racist. And why they doing that for the community south of the Caroni Bridge? This is the problem I have with them. It have enough for everybody. The government has a program, 1,000 entrepreneurs by 2025. They have 1,000 grants for $20,000 each. You all could go and apply for that. What is the issue? You have a problem with just a few people in East Port of Spain, the East Port of Spain Development Company deciding to focus on these people who otherwise may not avail themselves of those other grants. Have that there. Go on the Ministry of, well, I can't say their website. I had to say, first, the Ministry of Youth Development website is woefully lacking. All you need to do something about that website, right? Facebook page, full of activity. The website needs work. That's what I would put that there. So I can't even tell people go on that website. Because I look on that website for links to these different programs to share with people who are interested and I can't find it. Well, you need to help us out with that, please. Right? You can't be advertising all of these programs and then people don't know where to go, how to access it. So do something about that now, please. I beg you. Not everybody on Facebook to be able to go and access these things, right? But there's a problem I have. I am just saying, what's the issue? But you know what you all need to be wary of? Is that all of these programs, you call customer comments and you start to rattle off the names of programs that they have, Amplify and all of these different things. I lost count of how many different opportunities it have for young people. Young people in this country have no excuse, none whatsoever, to get into a life of crime. So when I can see nonsense videos talking a pack and nonsense, but would have nothing for the youth, and they have the UNC had the crime talks, and they have people coming up to say, well, the youth need opportunities. It have more than enough opportunities for the youth through the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service. So anybody who come in to talk that, you're talking rubbish. You clearly not in the know, right? It have numerous opportunities. As I said, no young person in this country could say that there aren't opportunities for them. The Ministry of Youth Development practically every week creating a new program. It's like when Pastor Cummins goes to work, all they do, right, what new program we creating this week? What new program we creating this week? And they have programs now for persons up to age 60. So it's not just age 35 years since the Ministry of Youth Development, but now they've extended you to age 60. So if you're 60, you're approaching retirement and you don't know from the public service possibly, and you're trying to figure out, well, what I'm going to do with myself now. I'm still feeling young and strong and active. And if I don't get a consultancy work or they don't bring me back on contract, what am I going to do? Sit down on the front porch all day and read the papers and watch TV? So they are giving opportunities now to these persons to retool so that when you retire and you figure you still have the vigor and strength in you, you can go and do something else to keep active and make a little money too. Because what you don't want is that when you retire, you end up in a sedentary lifestyle and then a whole set of sickness come on you and then after that, because for the last 40 years, you're active, you're going to work every day, and then all of a sudden you have nothing to do, you just sit on home, you're bored, you're depressed. You probably didn't prepare for retirement properly, so you don't have no set of money to be able to say, well, I want to take a cruise or I want to travel or whatever it is. So you have nothing to do, and then before you know it, sickness come on you and then that's the end of you. Right? The government is providing opportunities for such persons now. So life doesn't end at 60. Life starts at 60 for you. So you were working for a salary all this time. You no longer have that job. You have free time on your hand. So that business idea that you had all these years, you could now try it out. And the government is giving you the financial assistance, the technical assistance, and other assistance to be able to now venture into this. And plenty of them have said, boy, if I had known, I would have started this business, you know what, years now? But guess what, 60 isn't too late, thanks to this administration. All of these things are at risk if you play fast and loose with your vote and give those people another chance to come back into office. Understand, they have no vested interest in any of these programs. None. Nothing that PNM people could look to and say, well, you know, Dr. Rowley did this and Dr. Rowley did that. They will get rid of all of it and say they want to give you a replacement. Where is the replacement of life support? When Kamala read out the report in the parliament and told the young people, but don't worry. I know some of you may be concerned now that the program is coming to an end, but we will provide you all with an alternative. Where's the alternative? Where is it? Where is it? Still waiting. Still waiting for it. Just like the shipbuilding facility that she promised people that replace the smelter. No smelter, they'll get cancer and dead. Cancel the smelter. What did the people of Labray get? She sold them dreams. They bought it wholesale. And now what you have? What you have? A dream that is worthless. And then she'll come back next year and tell her the same rubbish. Don't worry, we'll do for stuff for you. Still waiting. Well, not serious. Not serious whatsoever. Right? So I'm just making that point. Let me see what's the time. I wanted to touch on Ralph Marach's article from Sunday, but I don't think I have time to go into it in detail. So today's Thursday. I'll treat to that on Sunday morning. I'll be able to read. I don't want to read the whole thing because a lot of it is rubbish, garbage. But I will deal with it on another time. Right? So 7701763. So let me just get this. Let me just tune this on here. So, hello, good morning.
Hello?
Yes, sir, morning.
Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes, Mr. Yates, go ahead.
Very, very good. Let me just be very quick about it. First of all, I think that this inertia and inactivity in the PNM is rooted in a statement that was made the night of the 2020 general election. Dr. Rowley made one statement, which in the end set the cat among the pigeons and has resulted in what we have in the PNM right now. You see, when he hinted that this may be his last term in government,
yes,
that opened the door for all the aspirants, all the wannabes, incompetent and incapable as many of them are, to start fighting each other and undermining and undercutting one another because they sense the imminent departure of Dr. Rowley. That is what it is. So what you find now is a very solid reversion to the PNM politics of 50, 60 years ago of we could corral all the black votes. I in control of all the Baptists. I in charge of everybody. Once you're black, you're going to vote PNM. Idiots not realizing that this is a different world. This is a world now in Trinidad where you need crossover vote to win government. Relying on black vote alone is not going to cut it.
Correct.
It is not going to cut it. You need the mixed people. You need the Douglas, the white, the half-white, the red, the off-white, the everybody. Everybody, particularly in the marginals, and more specifically in a marginal like St. Joseph. Just north of the traffic light here, going up to the church into the valley. You have a number of gated communities in there, Maracas Gardens and other places.
Correct.
And those are people of different races. And you need their votes. And Gary Griffith might be in there. And some of them might support him. So this obsession, this dotishness about once I get the Baptist vote, I home and dry. And what has this resulted in? The crabs in a barrel. They're eating off one another's head. And they're undermining. And it is very clear to people who are looking on and watching on and observing it. I might be stepping on very controversial ground, but I am sensing that there is a very strong vanguard inside there that is committed to Stuart Young not ever becoming the leader of the PNM. I'm not batting for anybody, but let us get it clear. Let us clear. It is the Stuart Youngs and the Alrawis and the Embers and the Richie Sukais of this world who have the potential to bring it home for the PNM. You rely on the black vote alone, you lose. It is not going to cut it. It is just not going to cut it. And that is what is responsible for the inactivity and people just sitting down on the haunches and doing nothing in the PNM. All these so-called officers of the party are just really, at the end of the day, they are just men of straw. I say men of straw in a manner of speaking because you have females too, but I'm using the term generically.
Yes.
They are all men of straw. And most of whom, if not all, are of very little pedigree politically because they don't even sell themselves. All they are involved in is obsessing themselves in a heavy power broking exercise, running down power. They sense that Dr. Rowley is going and they're lining up. Everybody lining up to get the approbation of the boss. That is what is happening, you know. That is why you find these officers of the party are just not doing anything at all. And what you have is a lot of incompetent people who are silent as a church mouse and whose basis is to undermine potentialities within the party that could help them to win. That is what is happening now. And in closing, let me just say this. Let me just say this.
Yes.
Not for the first time, but I'll say it again. At the level of the university, we have a very troubling situation. I've said it before, I'll say it again. When you have, now, as you would know, Mr. Romain, there are one or two disciplines that are very popular, very highly subscribed, like sociology and economics, where you don't have one or two lecturers in those departments because they are so popular. You have a lot of people subscribe, a lot of young people subscribe to those courses.
Yes.
So how is it that the go-to economist at UWI, there must be at least 6 or 7 economists. How is only Roger Hussain and Valmiki Arjun, whose views are sought by Ralph Maraj, an economist of all the newspapers, for views on the economy of this country? How is it? There must be at least 4 more. How is it you don't seek out their opinion? And what is even more frightening for me, I tell you, when you have lecturers in the liberal arts, like people teaching politics and government and that kind of thing, my major concern, when I look at the antics of some of these people, not just the views, but your positioning of yourself, when you as a lecturer in politics or government, you find yourself sitting on a UNC platform in their first episode of their own crime talk. You sit down there on a UNC platform, the only thing you didn't do is talk, but you sit there, and I am to wonder now, what criteria are you going to use? That tells me that you are UNC. You went on a UNC platform, you ain't going there to just show how attractive you are. You are there on a UNC platform because you support the party. So we come back to the classroom. How are you going to assess and mark? What criteria are you going to use in your marking system? Are you going to mark based on objective intellectual analysis and criteria? Or are you going to mark on political opinion? If I praise Kamala, I get in a B plus or A or A plus. If I balance the scales and I show the good and the bad in Rowley and Kamala, I might end up with a C plus or a C because I didn't pick up Kamala. Because I wasn't there when you were there on the UNC Crime Talks platform, the first episode of it. So how are you marking people's papers? This is frightening in the extreme. Thank you. I took up enough of your time. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure hearing from you. So, and there's nothing, and I just want, because I know for those persons who listen, we have senior persons in the PNM who listen to this program, right? I just want to say there's something called constructive criticism. And the people who support the party are saying what they want to see and what they want to hear and what they want more of. And one of the most echoed sentiments that I get from persons who fall into those categories is the party not listening. They're not listening. They're not listening to the people whose votes they are going to depend on to get into office, to get a third term. The UNC and their supporters are hell-bent against a third term. You need to listen. We saw what happened in 2010 when the party didn't listen. You saw what happened, right? The loyal supporters, not that they weren't loyal in 2010, but they decided they want to teach all their lessons. If all they don't want to listen to us, right, we'll make you listen. And the country had to suffer for 5 years because the party didn't listen. We've been asking him for not for anything much. We just want a level playing field when it comes to the public meetings. We want a level playing field when it comes to the provision of information. Because you can't expect me to go outside there. Well, not me personally, right? But there are persons who may not have the time, who may not be inclined to go and do all this set of research that I do. And nothing annoys me more than to go on social media, on Facebook, and I'm seeing persons who support the PNM engage in active conversation with people who support the UNC. And the UNC people saying, tell me 10 things the PNM do in the last 9 years. And PNM people could only give 2 or give 3. It makes the party look bad. You know why they can't give more? It's because there are not sufficient platforms facilitated by the party to enable such persons to get the information. And when it is that on almost, well, it's not a daily basis, but we see that the voices that are out there that are speaking for the back, and let me tell you, some people like Jerome Moses, I will deal with you shortly, not right now, right? Who like to come and talk rubbish. You know what's interesting? Jerome Moses is on this platform. He's on YouTube, talking a pack of rubbish. When it's not him, it's Ricky. When it's not Ricky, it's the next one. He could be listening to the Underground Report, but he's here. You know why? Because truth is addictive. So he comes here every morning when I'm on and he listens. But they have alternatives where they're spreading the lies and the propaganda. And he knows it's lies and propaganda, but he wouldn't go there and listen to them. He will come here and listen to the truth and try to throw us off. But I want to thank you for joining us, Jerome, because I know, as I said, truth is addictive. You can't help yourself because you know what you get here is facts. And I always challenge you all. If what I'm saying is rubbish, challenge me. And I am yet to find a UNC person so to challenge what I say. Yet to find one. And I give you the opportunity. But you're coming here to talk nonsense about the PNM don't care about the poor people and nothing for the. I just told you how the PNM helping the poor people. Or who is the poor people? And all you say the UNC supporters doing well and is PNM people suffering. That's what they say. But you wouldn't come here and say, yes, the PNM doing a good thing in East Port of Spain by providing money and space for these people to start a business. That, for you, that is not helping poor people. Who it for? Who it for, Jerome? Who it for? So it's not poor people. So it's rich people, is the 1% living in East Port of Spain. You see, you all come here with your chocolate talk and it's not making no sense. But you're embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing yourself. While it is the party that you support want to give people handout, food card, and things to make them perpetually dependent, the PNM is saying, come, we want to make you independent. We want to give you something. We're not creating any programs to put money in your hand so that if, God forbid, those people come back, they could just end the program. We are trying to help you to establish a business from now. So if, God forbid, they come back into office in 2025 and they stop the program, those of you who would have taken advantage of it now, your business up and running, they can't come and tell you, hey, we taking your business shut down. They can't do that. They can't come and tell you, hey, you see that money that Rowley and then give all that grant, you gotta pay it back. They can't do that. So once your business is up and running, it matters not who is in office. You good to go, you're independent. So they could come with baby grant, food card, whatever. You don't need that. You have graduated from that. Right now, you're a businessman and you look a businesswoman and you're looking for opportunities to expand your business. So they could come with this talk about, we will sell you the apartment for $100. Tell them, rock so with it. I'm a business owner. And I only in this apartment for a time. But when my business flourishing, I will be moving out soon. So miss me with that BS. Get away from here with that chop it up. Go from here. That is what Dr. Rowley trying to help Wale to do. But you have people like Jerome Moses telling Wale, reject that. Reject that. Reject Rowley and vote for Kamala so you could get a food card. Vote for Kamala so you could get a BD grant. Vote for Kamala so you could get some other grant when they come back in. You could get $69 a day. That is what Jerome Moses is telling you to do. Don't start a business. Don't create legacies. Don't create generational wealth for your children and your grandchildren. No. Forget that. Reject Rowley and put back Kamala there and just look for a little pittance every month. Yes, so that you could just get by. How disgusting. Jenny, go ahead.
Hi, morning, Dominic.
Morning.
Want to all those who are locked on to success stubborn things. There's a word called self-hate, and that sometimes causes people to behave the way they behave. And so, how they feel about themselves, they don't love themselves, they don't love what they see, they don't love what they have become, and they project that on other people. For people to feel how they feel about themselves, they want other people to feel so. So hurt people, and that's the box I just put person like Mr. Jerome and them in. Because if he had a love for himself, and by his name, he sounds as though he has a slave master's name.
Correct.
And you know, Kamala say basically that says African people who are slave master name. So if you have a government, whether you like the PNM or not, is offering grants to your entrepreneurs. You're getting training. You have a youth ministry for persons of 18 to 35. There's all types of programs there. There's so much things are happening in the economy. Gregory Abul and them making money because you open a new flagship store. Not in town, in Bataria. What are the capital to go Bataria? Because they want to analyze the space. They could make money there. And Salmakab making money. Everybody making money. And they're making money off of money that people spending in Trinidad. Concerts selling out. Closed stores still open. More and more groceries opening. Although they say the food price so high, wheat grass, groceries opening. And not no little small mama and pop thing. Big grocery. And I hear they close down. It's people buying food. People trolley pack from here to there. And if you take a small trolley and pick up 2 or 3 things, people watching you like all you buying? Because they're passing with a big trolley. And I'm saying all this to say, when you look at what's happening in the economy, things are moving. And as people know, I don't know if everybody know, the IMF, International Monetary Fund, who does have the eye on each country economy, ready to run in to lend money if they find the economy ain't going good. And with that come a lot of structural adjustment programs where you have to trim the fat. And the fat is all them social programs, all they have, cut that, because that can't make no money to pay we back. The IMF has said this year, when they were here, first time in a decade, Trinidad and Tobago is on a momentum. A momentum means something that's happening quick, beat, it's on the upcome. The economy is rising. They said that just last year, 2 leading credit agencies, Standard & Poor's and Moody's, said our credit rating ain't good. Meaning that I ain't no financial person, but what I mean to say, we handling the debts properly. So if all our money borrow, don't worry, they could borrow it. The interest level going to be low. Because you know, if you go to the bank to borrow money, they'll check your credit rating all over. And don't say because they're owing here and they're owing there, wherever, if you borrow somewhere, if the interest rate was 1%, you might have to pay 5% interest because you're a risky person. So Moody and Standard & Poor's say, oh, you're risky at all, things nice. And every day, The UNC is speaking to people and the operatives, LDAs, and the dog eat of bone, Negroes, and telling people this country is doing good, that thing's so hard, we're suffering. But you're seeing on the index of people who listen, when there's a word, Charlie said you said there's a word that make standard of living. It's higher than out of 160 something or something countries, which is number 40 something.
Right.
And our standard of living is so high. Higher than a lot of other countries, who some of them bigger than we. All that information is there. But Brother Jerome and them will come every day. The doggy look at bone people, the Negroes, and join the cause that come up with that the country going bad. But in 2010, when all they gave them a chance, because all these parties come together, they had a 29. They could have passed any law in the interest at Trinidad and Tobago. You know what they do? They take a judge, a sitting judge. So it means to say, while he on the bench, he must have been involved in judicial activism. He may have been making his judgment based on politics. Because he's sitting on the bench today, you have to be in talks with the UNC long before. Because by the next day, he was on a platform for the UNC with a snake in his hand, and that person is Herbert Volney. And when the UNC came into office with a 29-seat mandate, the first thing they do is form a ministry called Ministry of the Justice. And the only, headed by Herbert Volney, and the only thing they do, that ministry, that spend millions of dollars to create, because you have to find the building, you have to find equipment, you have to find personnel. So like millions of taxpayers' dollars to pay people every month. The only thing that ministry do is create Section 34, where this country had to get up in arms and march with Dr. Rowley and others to get it repealed. And you know what that law was? Just to free two of the financiers, Ish Galbransing and Steve Ferguson, who were implicated in the biggest massive corruption scandal in Trinidad and Tobago, the PR airport, where people made jail in America. Kamala said that is PNM prosecution, but it was a UNC Attorney General, Mr. Ramesh Lawrence Mirage, who brought a forensic auditor from Canada, Bob Linguist, to do the accounts and the forensic accounts of Piaco Airport. It was not PNM government. And when they removed Ramesh, Kamala became the it girl. She had the report, and what she do, the dilly-dally. So that's why I say probably that thought of freedom started from all there. Because they didn't take that report. They find all kind of reasons, but when they come back into office in 2010, form a ministry to freedom seen to individuals. So when Jerome Moses, Brother Moses and them talking, like they don't understand that part. The UNC does give you crumbs. We have to keep coming back for crumbs. You ain't learning nothing. You ain't getting no training. It's to come for crumbs. Doggy, look a bowl, pat you on your head. And they go with the lion's share. But the People's National Movement, who has built all the infrastructure in this country, everything Brother Moses enjoying, is the People's National Movement. The only corruption they could call and talk about forever and ever is O'Halloran and Privat. And O'Halloran did not thief from taxpayers. It was contractors' private thing. He was taking a percentage. But the NRA, when they come into office, they would have gotten back money from O'Halloran, but we still hear about O'Halloran. You don't hear about Steve Ferguson. You don't hear about them. You don't hear about Ish. You don't hear about all who get the Mamu and Karmat and all of them who get contract under Kamala Prasad Bissessa. You don't hear about them to say about no corruption. But Brother Moses and them will come every day and say something bad about the PNM. When the PNM has been offering hope, because Brother Moses, if you didn't know, in 2010 when Kamala started processing and came in, they had an oil boom in this country. Oil prices was over $100 and something US a barrel. And by 2015, the central bank governor, Jarala Rambaran, came and told the incoming PNM that we have been in a recession, 2 periods of recession of that year, the country in a recession. You notice a recession, Brother Moses, coming out of spending $100 and more US dollars a barrel for oil. And in 2015, after having enjoyed it in 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and in 15, you're coming to tell the country in a recession, we come and them do the money. You see any development for that kind of money? And that the government only had 3 days money in the central bank. And people are saying, well, guys are lying. How they was able to pay? They mean they didn't have no liquid cash in the central bank. And Brother Jerome, they had to go to First Citizen to see if they could pull money because they have us to pay the 14% that Kamla Prasad Bissessa would have settled knowing very well, even if they did come back into office, they couldn't pay it because the country was in a recession. Because by the time PNM came in, oil prices started to drop to $40-something and $50-something a barrel. So when in the central bank, they don't have no cash money. They go to First Citizen. The money that we have and the government have been saving, any government, then we get say, wait now, all they know the UNC borrow on that tower. All they can't get that. They went to all the agencies that the government has saved money and have money for the citizens of this country. And they tell them, all they know that UNC don't use that, you know. It's not money there, you know. The last resort, Brother Moses went to the oil giants and them who write in this country, BP and Amok on them. And they tell them, all they got the memo. We don't have to give them until 2024, you know. You understand? And this government was able to keep us away from the IMF. The same IMF, as they come in, a structural adjustment program, Brother Moses, where they're going to cut all social programs, all grants. There's only a few needy will get it because it means test now. All that you're enjoying free, do not cut that. This government hasn't gone to the IMF. They have worked magic with what we had. And then we had a COVID-19. And we saw the whole world close up. And they were able to utilize money out of the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. That was saving money. Kamla, under the time in 2010 to 15, was borrowing money to put in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. Not saving money from the oil, no. Borrowing money to put in it. And all they say, all hail to Kamla. Brother Moses, all the wicked, all the generation. But I continue. COVID-19 came, we were able to stage that yes, we lost loved ones. And today, IMF could come to say, first time in 10 years, including a COVID-19, when the country was shut down, the economy was run so good by Minister Clement and this government that we don't have to go to the IMF. Mia Holy Love from Tobago, she has been to the IMF about 2 times. They had a layoff as she come in office, about 3,000 public officers. You don't see Barbajan walking the road and balling. You don't see them quarreling. VAT across there is more 17% or something like that. The cost of living high. Everything high. You don't see them costing. You don't see them costing monthly. But no, we've had this 12.5% and all the things the government would have done in this country so we could live a better life, so they could afford to say the cost, the living standard in this country. We are about 40 in the ranking, about 100 and something company. Go and think that. And lastly, before I go, the corporate taxes where the company and them say, oh, they got the memo, I'll come and them tell me we don't have to pay nothing until 2024, you know. Dr. Rowley, Minister Franklin County before he died, and Minister Young, flew out of all them oil giants in Texas, all over the world. In Trinidad, they went to which part these business people is, and they look like me and you, Dominic, and Brother Moses. They're white. And Dr. Rowley, with the black cells, was able to renegotiate those contracts that Minister Siotion could afford to say in 2019 we get $6 billion back in corporate taxes. And it's those things that has helped us when there was no liquid cash, Brother Moses, to be able to help the country to run. Even Glenn Lal from Guyana, who owned Kaitia News, I ain't seen a shutdown in newspapers or he lies. He has been saying and praising Dr. T. Christopher Rowley and Minister Siotion for how they have steered our energy sector. Because you know what he said? I'll leave him with this, because Brother Moses apparently don't know these things. Glenn Lal said, listen to this Prime Minister when he talked, and he played a tape with Dr. Rowley saying that contracts are not written in stone. And as circumstances change, contracts could change. And that is what Dr. Rowley did when the oil company and them say they can't get no money till 2024. It's a contract of last time with them. And Dr. Rowley was able to negotiate with these white men and women. I'm sure they had blue eye and green eye. This black man, along with Minister Stuart Young, to renegotiate the contract where everybody happy. The PNM still here, they didn't take the company and go because Dr. Rowley went and renegotiated with Minister Stuart Young. They're right here happy. They sponsoring BP Amoko. Who is sponsoring BP Amoko? Is the white man and them with the blue eye and the green eye. They're right here loving it, sponsoring the steel band and so many other things that we have negotiated. That is what Glenn Lal, a man who lives in Guyana, saying about we Prime Minister, we Minister of Energy. While in Guyana, who have all the money now, what they want to say, what's the name? Hussein, Professor Hussein want to ball Guyana, we should follow Guyana. Guyana all now not benefiting in no real way from the money they get from all that oil. Because all the contract they have with ExxonMobil from since 1999, ExxonMobil was there. It's renegotiated. So if they make $100 and gas become ExxonMobil must get $99 and Guyana getting $1. So why we must follow them? Like Guyana go and renegotiate the contracts and them like they have bonds, but they want to talk about we country falling apart and we must follow Guyana. Why rock so Roger Hussein, rock so a lot of nasty, dirty behavior. If PNM have to run this country and they're not putting on no track to no Gucci to run. They did that in 2010 and what happened? We catch with aunt, uncle, and nenen, 2010 to 15. And no tracking lane, no for no Gucci to run. We had to enjoy it all the way in this country. All races had to enjoy the hard work that the Dr. Rowley, Minister Young, and all the other ministers have done to bring us where we didn't have to go to the IMF under them hard and trying time. So, Brother Moses, you come in every day to be an irritant, and I'm sure you're enjoying the largest of what the PNM would have put there, because I'm sure you must be working, I'm sure you must be getting a salary every month, I'm sure you must be getting NIS, I'm sure you must be getting some other grant or some other thing, only enjoying it easy, wiping all your mouth, and coming every morning on the radio, on social media, to tell people foolishness, for all wicked themselves, but have a best morning, Dominic, and I'm sure always thank you for your participation.
Thank you, Jen. Hello, good morning.
No, thank you, Father God, for this nation. Amen. For the step, God, they have to share a decree in this land, Father, that God, they will hear your voice. That the hierarchy, God will hear the voice of the people that is being said to them, Father. That, oh God, their heart will hear your word first and foremost. And God, their heart will hear your voice, Father. I pray, oh Lord God, for every person at PNM of the African Youth Party, oh Lord God, will take hold of what is important things is given to them. That they, God, will be the best, but they will be diamond in the rough, Father. And God bless them for this evening. Now, we can know something. Who love is still secure. Right? If you knew your worth, why hide anything become true? A man who is innocent will always walk in light. He won't hide or put his foot. When you enter into a crime, he's paying propaganda. But how it is right for them and wrong first? It don't like us. But here you have each quarter state benefiting from government help. Right? It is wrong. Looking for votes. Ancient Ishmael, a question. The land you got with hospitals. You built us yet? With some Muslim. Have the land, have the hospital been built in Chan or something else? When you want to talk about others, make sure you're clean and clear. Because as we told, you have a food court there. With the food court, take care of people. Will they give them surgery? Fix a broken bone? What can men do? Damn if they do, and damn if they don't. What do we want people? Make up your mind, because when they help, looking for votes. And when they don't help, they get black people. And either you are Palau or Chinese food. You can't be both. And Rodney charges you. You are a hypocrite. Because you know the lies Kamala tell about from Mr. Rowley. You had no problems then. Why you have it now? Because you're not great with Kamala. It has much about integrity or lack thereof. But if it's wrong, then it's wrong now. You're looking for a bit of food. And I hope every lie be exposed. Every lie be exposed by the word of truth. Don't be blessed. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Hello, good morning.
Hey, good day, Dominic.
Yes, boss.
Yeah, long time, and just be listening. But this morning, I wanna think you already headlines in the papers that the movie Town Man owing taxes too.
Yes, I saw that.
So so the radio station owing taxes, the movie Town or something. So I'm gonna base the conversation on that topic. Now, yeah, the kind of millions of dollars these people never been in taxes owing to the state. But if I would go back to the movie Town spot, I think they used to call it the Spectrum, where they used to keep carnival shows and parties and things. I think the Monroe Brothers had it. And they had a short-term lease from the government. But when they took it over, they had backfill it, because it's more like some plan used to be around that area before they started developing it, right? And they had I think the Monroe Brothers who had a business there. Then, if I'm not mistaken, I think that happened under the Pandey administration when they removed, they didn't renew Monroe's contract, and they passed it on to the movie Town Man to develop and to thing, and then they give us all kind of explanation on how that will bring in revenue and everything, and they're not using the term now, and the keyword in it, you bring in revenue. Now, in the COVID recently there, the same man was so angry and telling the government to open up the thing there, and he losing business, and he's going to pack up and move his business and take his business, and he'll go elsewhere and all kind of nonsense. Only grand charge. Only to hear this morning, this man owing the government taxes. Now, how does that go down well for me and the poor people or a matter of fact? Because if the government, that's the only form of revenue that government really collects. You see, like, okay, the fossil fuels, which is the oil and gas, the government don't actually, they can get anything and bottle it and process it. The government will give contracts out to people like BP and Shell, and they do that. And then the luxury players in the market who also contribute to everything. So the government now will tax them on that. So the more revenue they make, the more taxes the more government collects. And when the government collects the taxes, they add that to the budget, and the difference they borrow it, because they intend to develop, like to make the put on hospitals or administration buildings, or to build an airport, or to fix your roads. That extra money the government has to borrow it. So when the government do an estimation of their budget is really an estimation of what you want to plan for the year. So you estimated that I'm going to spend $65 billion. And then you apply that to your recurring expenditure, which is paying wages and salaries and all these other little minor things, whatever things you're doing. And then now you're executing all your other things that you plan to do based on what you said in your manifesto. What you're going to do. Now, this gentleman, the two of them who are owing millions of dollars in taxes, and then the government giving you things like giving the land, and they get tax concessions, and they have special things that the government will give to them that the ordinary man wouldn't get. So when they start to ball about they paying taxes and that, I just normal talk, because the things that the government gives them, we don't get it as the poor people. So the poor people who have a tax ceiling, that if you're working for 7,500, I think somewhere around that area, unless you don't pay PAY. So you're not paying no PAY. So when Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the Coneys and the supporters and them who would come out and say that this government only want to tax, and act the tax, and she's telling her voters, the poor people in the depressed areas are all down in Bagpo and going to Woodland and all them places. Just matter fights are bad and Rodney Kelly in the back day. When they fall in Kamala, I don't think how they want the area to develop. But with Kamala going to get the money to develop your area for? Act the tax. Well, one of the things I heard her said, and what she have done, she used all the 60 billion NGC. She said, all they want to get water, so they're going to build a wastewater treatment plant and all these other things and everything, but they never come to pass because they keep all the money. Right? That's how she intends to get things. And now she said, when she come back now, she's going to take the unspent balances from NIB and all these places. Well, I say no to that. Because I want to get that NIS pension because I am contributed to NIS and I want that NIS pension, and I don't want no government to interfere with that. So I'm telling all the poor people, Kamala has no interest in all of it. Because the people who's supposed to be paying the taxes, owing all kind of 24 million, 34 million, next one is 90-something million, all these other billions of dollars. Poor people never even stick close to that. It are people who born in this country and dead, and the offspring come up and they're dead, and the offspring come up again, and they never see $1 million. They didn't know what $1 million look like in your bank account. As a matter of fact, most of them didn't see over $100,000 looking at bank account. You know, you have your little even chip, trying to save. And you never see what it is or feel how it is to be to have $100,000 in your bank account. And these people are just keeping it like wind. Kamala Prasad Bisesa with Pink Palace, how she get that? You have to know, all they don't even know how she get that. She says she started out chip to make the thing is she and her husband. But if you follow it, Kamala and her husband started off from in village before we reached the area, where they used to live, and then she go down in Duncan village down before after Duncan village coming in they build a big thing with elevators and helicopter platform. They know a little bit of money. So Manwin was right when he was asking her to explain it. And she said that Manning was so thing and whatever thing, and she put Manning only off the thing. You will get put out of the parliament for raising that. The speaker telling that he can't show no pictures. And only said that thing she did. And only fast forward to jail, Dominic. She told us what it was. I have no property. But then she put out money because Manuel raises her property. And she worked hard for her property, trip. And today she said she had no property. But where the property goes? If you have it, where it gone? Okay, if it's gone, where's the revenue from your property if you sell it or some kind of thing? Well, explain to the public now. She running from that. You know why? Revenue authority starting to stall it for the longest while, hoping to get back and crash everything. But thank God, Dr. Rory get his second term, and everyone's going full steam ahead. They're using the union, Leroy Batiste, and they're being used to block the revenue authority with cover up with petty dotishness. And today we see it. People who suppose get expected to be paying the taxes prominent and respected businessmen in this country who we have to look up to, who's supposed to know right from wrong and do the right thing and pay your taxes. If you ain't paying taxes, so the taxes run up their own millions of dollars. So you see how it triple down for people? So all the study Kamala for services and them. Study them. Go back and vote for them. And expect that she will tell you where she will get revenue from. I know what you see where she can get revenue from. That will be IMF. But by the time she gone, was I showing that case in Panama for her? Thank you very much, topic.
Thank you, sir. Tax evasion, boy. I will address that on Sunday too. It's interesting. Hello, good morning.
Dominic,
Leave it there.
what's going on?
I am good.
Look here, boy.
Yes, sir.
According to Mr. Porter's pin pop. Hey, Dominic,
Yes, sir.
help out the brother now.
Eh.
You know I can call on you for help.
Mm-hmm.
At Dr. Rowley news conference,
Mm-hmm.
a reporter asked Dr. Rowley a question.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of answering the question, he said, we have the Western Main Road. I didn't want the highway to point 40. Did I really hear Dr. Rowley say that, Dominic?
What was that? Repeat that. What was the question he was asked?
I can't remember the question, but I'm looking for the news conference and I can't find it.
Mm-hmm.
But the reporter asked him a question. And instead of answering the reporter, he said, we have the Western Main Road. I didn't want the highway to point 40. Did I really hear Dr. Rowley say that, Dominic?
Yes.
That is what he said?
But I don't understand why you're appalled by the answer if you can't remember the question.
When I will find it now.
No, I remember the question. The question that was asked was, why do we need this? What is the purpose or the need for this new academy since we have the Brian Lara Academy? And Dr. Rowley was making the point. Well, then basically could we say, well, we had the bus route, so we don't need the highway to point 40. No, that's the analogy he was making to say, well, if we already, because we have something now, means we shouldn't have something else. So because you had the bus route, means that we shouldn't have another route that you could use as well as the bus route. That was the point that he was making. I remember that.
That was a crazy analogy, Dominic.
You think so?
Trust me. Yes. That was crazy. But you're not going to always call on you.
Yes.
I will leave it here.
All right. Thank you so much. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Dominic?
Yeah, hi, Zina.
Hi, good morning again.
Morning.
Listen to me. Listen, I want all who listen to this radio, to your program, and who are accustomed listening to Iowa Station to know that people, educated people who would call certain programs, will not call there again. I, for one, will not spend 1 red cent to call that radio station. You understand? I will not until such time, or if Juliet come back on that station. You understand? Because that station has degenerated into just a pack of, I don't know what. Because you cannot tell me that you have a program that pull in so many callers. YouTube alone is over 1,100 viewers on an evening. Talent Facebook and all that. You want to tell me you have such a good program and you're going to allow what happened to happen? Well, I don't know what's going behind the scenes, but I know it takes a lot because you're supposed to be a strong person or not to be on that program. and I'm calling on people to boycott that station. And I'm calling on, sorry for the other people, the few voices that remain there that will talk to PNM. I blame in PNM too, you know. They're not putting enough interest in the activists and to get them to get on stations and to get on programs that they to pay for and to put out the truth out there. Too much propaganda is being spread on certain radio stations and programs. And it looks like it's only one set of people that people have target. I wonder if that is listening to all the radio stations throughout Trinidad and Tobago and all programs to hear what comes over the air and hear things, what people say. And I don't hear them complaining about getting letters and that station always play disclaimer. So what is the problem? What really taking place in this country? Always trying to puzzle the PNM voices. You understand? I'm talking to PNM, you know. Their PR is not good. Right. Always certain a few of you all who's fighting and trying to, we have to work too hard to put out the truth out there. There's too much, and when the people keep hearing the nonsense, they would believe it. People who don't have sense. Dominic, try and continue your program. Try and stick to the facts and continue your program, because I don't think PNM people have spread any propaganda. If we listen to the facts, you put out the truth that is happening in this country. Dr. Rowley working too hard and he alone and he go to meet the people. And need for people, the government, the PNM party to push more, to let the voices be heard, some more. All right. I'm not going to say again, you know, I'm tired of talking. They're too loud. Right. Thank you, Dominic. That's all I have to say this morning because I'm very bad. Understand? Thank you.
Understandably. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir.
I'm good, man. You know, I just one thing I want to say, right? Because this thing should go to rest. Juliet put out a letter that she had. It was ready yesterday and it was posted. Let her rest and get you a rest, man. Gosh, if you already hear or see things, don't come and talk them things. I'm going.
Thank you, sir. Let's see what's the time there. We still have a little bit of time to take a few more calls. I want to tell Jerome Moses something, right? I told you on Tuesday. You need to pack a bag, right, Jerome? You need to call TT Rideshare or call a taxi, call a friend, somebody, and ask them to drop you in front of the sanitarium in St. Anne's. Because I'm reading your comments and you are clearly a madman. Something wrong with you. You need a checkup from the neck up. You need a whole body checkup. Because I can't believe that you believe the crap, the nonsense that you posting here on YouTube. I cannot believe that. You talking nonsense here about what is that your children have no future under the Rowley government? You serious, Jerome Moses? I would ask you, what future do they have under Kamala? Tell me now. Other than Color Me Orange, other than Baby Grant, other than food card, you're talking about under Rowley is CPEP on 10 days. Let me tell you something, Jerome, to remind you. When Mr. Manning introduced CPEP around 2006, 2007, 1 second, Brian. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Rudal Munilal, and Anand Ramlugan criticized CPEP. Kamla called it was said it was the intergenerational transfer of poverty and that no other political leader in the history of this country was ever so cruel to the supporters. That's what she said. Anand Ramlugan called it a loveless thing. He said it was never the intention of the forefathers of the PNM to see their supporters cutting grass at the side of the road, that they believed that should have been for everybody else. Right? That's what they said. But when they came into office in 2010, there were 5,000 persons working for CPEP. By the time they left in 2015, there were 15,000 people working in CPEP. They increased CPEP threefold. Jerome Moses, threefold. When they came in very early in the term of office, they fired 527 persons from URP because they said these people were PNM. And the persons came together, formed a class action suit, and the government in, I think, 2019 or 2020, thereabouts, ended up paying $20 million to these people. The court ordered $20 million they had to settle to pay these workers because Kamla fired them. And you know who these people were? Jerome? They weren't rich people, Jerome. They weren't 1%. They were the single mothers always talking nonsense about all you so care about. Tell me CPEP and 10 days is slavery work. So didn't tell Kamala that when she increased CPEP from 5,000 to 15. Are you an idiot? But then again, under the party you support, less is more. So 5,000 under Manning is more than 15,000 under Kamala. Something wrong with you, Jerome. You're not right upstairs. I am convinced. Something wrong with you. There is no reasoning with you, like logic gone out the window with you long time. How the hell you could tell me CPEP and URP is slavery work, but Kamala increased CPEP from 5,000 to 15,000, and you're not chastising her for that? What sort of rubbish you're telling me about? So what is food card? You trying to tell me a food card is better than $20,000 to start a business? That's what you're trying to tell me? You're trying to tell me that baby grant and color me orange is better than 2 years free tuition in agriculture in UE, 2 acres of land, $20,000 to start your business, your farmer's license and a starter home? You trying to tell me that? That you would, that foolishness, there is nothing that Kamala Prasad has offered the people of this country that could compare to that. Something wrong with you. You clearly, they send you here to derail my program, but I will not allow it. Brian, go ahead.
You see, what's happening is you must never be wealthy. You must always be poor. You must always want a hand out, never a hand up. That is the problem. Because when you get crumbs, you believe you're rich. And I've always said, let those who up on all your sides, and I'm going to be honest today. All you who live in north of the Caroni Bridge, come down south to see how they live. Because what they ain't going to understand. Come and see the Pink Palace. Come and see how Anna lives. Come and see all of them who live in down here, who talk. Come and see how they live. I'm not talking because I want to talk. I'm telling you, you come and see. Come and see the mansions. I can tell you about certain things because if I talk, I will reveal other people who will not get contracts to do things in certain people's houses. I can tell you. I know. And I'm talking because I want to talk, Dominic. I'm talking because I know. If all you don't believe, well, come down south. Come and see how, when all you're up there catching all your backside up in town, come and see how they live. On these things they enjoy, or they're not enjoying. I've said it many times before. Come and see how they live. Take a trip down south. But all they ain't coming, all they talking. But come down south and see how Anna and Ram Logan lives. Come and see how Kamala Prasad Misesa lives. Come and see. All they ain't coming, all they staying up in town and talking and set a gubar. But I know they don't want you all to live the way they live it. They want you all to live in quarter and catch all your backside and see trouble. Or look can't get this, or look can't get that, or look can't get the other. But come and see how they live. Please. I've spoken about this on many occasions. They don't want African people to live the way they are living. And even those, I can tell you about African people, you know. Some of them catching the tail because they're dependent on these people to survive. I can tell you, I know, I have friends in that particular genre. I can tell you. But nobody will believe me. That is how it is. There are people in Clinton City. I went up there, living in mansions close to the what do you call it, the golf course.
Millennium Lakes.
I can tell you, I have been there. I have been in their houses. And I went there because I don't want to say why, because the person may not get an opportunity to get contracts anymore. But I've been inside the house. I have been there. I'm not talking about what I don't know. Inside there, and you see how they live. You have to ask the question, how they get it? When mommy, daddy, sister, brother get at how they living there next to each other. This is a fact of the matter. Or you go and see. Don't take my word. Go and see. People are talk in this country. But it is what it is. We come and we talk and we speak and we say certain things. But people don't believe us because they say, oh, we talking crap. But then go and see. Go and see who live in Millennium Park. Go and see. Ask the question, who owns that house? Who owns that house? Who owns this house? You'll realize his family, his brother, sister, father, uncle. Go and see. Don't take my word. Go and see for yourself. And you know what's amazing about it? It is gated. But go in and see. I got in and I saw, and I was inside one of the houses. I ain't talking about what I don't know. I was there. But you ain't gonna see that on no newscast. You ain't gonna see that on no radio station. You understand? Dr. Rowley went just yesterday, the day before yesterday, to talk about Carib Brewery expanding. You think that will make real news? It makes news a little bit here, but doesn't. And these are some of these things you have to talk about. Because it's not going to make real news. And I've said it before. What are we doing? What are we seeing? You know what's making news? The propaganda of the UNC and the people in Tobago. That's making news. Yeah, that's making news. And you know what we're not seeing? And not understanding that we have work to do. I've said it many times before. Mr. Romain has come out and spoke about it many times before. So what are we doing? There's an election coming. What are we going to do about it? Are we not seeing what is going on? Sister Jenny has spoken on so many occasions of how many things have been done in this country
about who making money. Everybody making money. And think so bad, really? Dominic, it is a crying shame. Honestly, it's a crying shame. All we can do is talk. All we can do is bring the information. But at the end of the day, this information ain't going nowhere, you know. It's those who living up to the propaganda. Look at what you said about we name Rodney. Look at what he said. He knows that things are bad. He knows it was all lies. He knows. He knew. Even what's her name? Who wants to come back in the UNC? What's her from Sin City? That girl name she was Cuba North B.
Ramona Ramdial.
Look at what she's saying. All lies. All lies. And we still accept this stupidness? Really? So who are we listening to? Who are we accepting as, well, here what's going on? It's really UNC and not here. Really? Kamala Prasad has lied to us on so many occasions and we still continue to believe her? Are we listening to what Dr. Rowley is saying about developing the country, our country? Are we going to go back and say, listen, let all what has been done, all that has been done for the youth, go to North? Really? Well, all you have a choice to make. And not all you alone, all of us, all of we. Make a choice. Either you vote for the PNM, or you vote to go back to how it was between 2010 and 2015. You decide. If you can live that way, fine, no problem. Live that way. And when only realize, only children can't get no work, only children can be doctors and attorneys in Trinidad and Tobago, and I have to go away to get work. But then live with it. Hell with all you. Because that is what Kamala Prasad is telling all you. So hell with all you. And when only realize, I have told you all that the Minister of Health has said is 19,000 people used to be born in Trinidad. It's down to 15,000. What does that tell you? How many of us are dying? How many of us are not being born? How many of us are dying by the bullet that we cannot reproduce? It's not Indian, it's African people dying. Are you not seeing that? It's down to 13,000 from 19,000. Are you not seeing and understanding what's going on? 13,000 from 19,000. We're not reproducing because why? People between the ages of 15 to 35 dying by the bullet. So we cannot produce. We cannot reproduce. They are killing us out. But they don't want to understand that? Well, fine. When we realize that one day it has no other Africans living in this country, they're only going to understand what is really going on. By that time, it will be too late. The saddest word in the English language is too late. Dominic.
Sir.
Have a good day.
You too. I saw one person posted earlier on Facebook, PNM people who hadn't. Kamala supporters could be how vexed with her. On election day, they voted in UNC. PNM, I vexed Rowley. And Rowley this and Rowley that me voted. I have 5 minutes, so I can take one more quick call. Actually, 3 minutes. So I can close off at 9 o'clock. Milka says, great contribution as usual, Brian. Yes, Dion, he definitely has an agenda to upset me, but you know what, in the last 3 minutes, let me just address this last point that I see him making here. The 4% government, while $3.5 billion. Jerome, what $3.5 billion missing? Mr. Imbert, I've said this on numerous occasions, so let me try and educate you, give you a little something to leave with. I know it doesn't make no sense, but anyway. The 3.5 billion that you're talking about, Jerome, the Auditor General says that is a figment of Mr. Imbert's imagination. She is saying it doesn't exist, it never existed, that Mr. Imbert created that. Or Munilal is also saying that Mr. Imbert created that for the purpose of making it look as if the economy performed better than it did. Mr. Imbert is saying, I want to present accounts that say that we made 64 billion. The Auditor General is saying, no, you only make 61. You only make 61. So if you want to know where the 3 billion gone, Jerome, you're asking the wrong person. You need to ask the Auditor General. She's saying that it didn't exist. She's saying I reviewed the accounts, and as far as I'm concerned, the government only made 61 billion. So if you're telling me that you made 64, prove it. That is what she's saying. So all this thing you're talking about, $3.5 billion missing. But you know what is interesting? Is that the Auditor General, right? But all the things that she said, in response to what Mr. Imbert said, you know, one thing she hasn't refuted is Mr. Imbert's explanation with respect to the $2.6 billion check error. You know, she hasn't said that that didn't happen. She didn't say her auditors went and reviewed the accounts and that they didn't see any evidence of this $2.6 billion check error. She never said that. Why didn't she say that? You know why? Because they saw the evidence to prove that it happened. So if you're telling me there was an error which shows that the government paid out $2.6 billion in VAT refunds, and that transaction never happened, and as a result of that $2.6 billion transaction that never happened, the government's revenue position is saying 61 billion. So you are not refuting that the $2.6 billion error occurred. She has said nothing on that, which means she agrees that that happened. I have seen the documentary evidence that this took place. Well, if that happened, madam, and it was an error, it means that 2.6 billion didn't go out. The 2.6 billion has to be there. And if we find the 2.6 billion, then it is going to take the figure to 64. So how can you tell me you want to present accounts that says the government only earned 61 point something billion dollars in revenue, but you are not refuting the fact that there was an error that shows 2.6 billion was paid in VAT refunds, which would have resulted in the figure being 61 billion. I am confused. Now, Jerome, I know you wouldn't understand that. You're probably going to take the rest of the day to sit down and salivate on that. Don't do that because I don't want you to get a stroke. Your mental capacity right now cannot accommodate that level of discourse and that level of thought. So don't put yourself through that because I don't want to be responsible for you ending up in the hospital, in Port of Spain General Hospital, not Central Block yet, it's not finished, and your whole left side paralyzed. Okay? So don't bother to put yourself through that. You understand? Sean is saying I'm speaking too fast. Well, is it the interest of time, Sean? I have one more call on the line. So what I am saying, Sean, is that the Auditor General is saying that if the Minister of Finance is saying we earned 64 billion in revenue. The original accounts that was sent to the Auditor General with the error says that we earned $61 billion in revenue, right? The minister made the point that because of this new check clearing system the central bank has, there was an error with that claim that showed the government paid out one person, $2.6 billion as a VAT refund. The minister is saying that never happened. And we know that. The hardest thing I keep saying to get from the government right now is a VAT refund. Businesses keep complaining because the government doesn't have the monies right now to pay out $4 or $5 billion in VAT refund. So Mr. Imbert said it is impossible. And I will play for you all probably on Sunday that 20-minute explanation that he gave in the parliament when he first brought this matter to the public. So he is saying, now, I don't have the time to explain it really, but remember when taxes come in, taxes go up. So taxes come in, and then you have refunds. So when you minus what is paid out in refunds from what we receive, it is the net figure that the government will take. So if they receive, let's say, $10 billion in taxes, which includes VAT, which includes income taxes and so on, and then they pay out, let's say, $3 billion in VAT refunds and income tax refunds and so on. The difference is $7 billion. So it means that the government would have earned $7 billion in tax revenue. We earned 10, but we paid out 3 in refunds. So the net 7 billion is what we will account for. The minister is saying this transaction, this $2.6 billion error that took place, because somebody who was inputting the data and so on put 2.6 billion, but that never happened because he never authorized the payment of any $2.6 billion tax refund. He knows that for sure. So therefore, once you reverse that error, it means then that you fix the accounts to account for this error. So that money now has to be added back to what we received in terms of taxes because it wasn't paid out, so it has to be somewhere. The Auditor General is not refuting that that error took place. She is saying that when she sent her senior auditors to audit the books in that 1 week period between the 16th of April and the 23rd of April when she released the account, she is saying that the Ministry of Finance did not provide the documents to support $64 billion in revenue. Now, as I made the point before, government gets revenue from all over the place, right? So it's not to say that you say, well, all right, show me where this extra 3.3 billion came from. Because they can't go and pull a draw and say, well, this sector made this money or this sector. You have to go through, itemize, scrutinize all the places that the government got revenue from for the year, look at the fine print and say, well, okay, we got this from customs, we got this from Board of Inland Revenue, we got this from the Warden Office, we got this from wherever else the government gets its revenue from, and scrutinize and add up all of the different things, and then you'll be able to find the final figure. The Auditor General is telling the government, as far as I am concerned, you only make 61 billion. Now, if you are the Auditor General, and based on what I know from auditing, because my sister was an auditor, you're supposed to pick up these errors. So that the Auditor General's department should have picked up that error with respect to that $2.6 billion mistake. You were supposed to pick that up. As somebody who sits on a board and serves in the capacity as treasurer, I can tell you when we are doing our audits, these auditors calling me, and these are private auditors, calling me constantly, Mr. Romain, we need to get this document because we are here at the office and we requested this and we didn't get this and we didn't get that. So could you arrange for us to get this and we will come back? When we are doing the fixed asset register, they want to see everything that we claim we have, all of the assets. Some of it might be here, some of it offsite, and they're telling me, well, okay, we saw you all presented us with the fixed asset register, but we didn't see this, we didn't see that, we didn't see that. Could you tell us where we can find this? Because they want to see the physical thing. So if it is not there, if I claim I have it, and you ain't seen it, you're supposed to ask me a question. Or if I didn't provide you with the documents, you're supposed to give me an opportunity to provide you. Mr. Imbert is asking for an extension so that the ministry could now go and pull all of the necessary documentation, and the Auditor General's department could go through all of every single dollar the government earned to see exactly how much money that they made. So that is why we must ask ourselves, why doesn't the Auditor General want the probe to take place? Why? Is it that you want, because efforts were made since the problem was discovered when Board of Inland Revenue sent back their documents to the Ministry of Finance, the Budgets Division for reconciliation. The Budgets Division realized, well, wait now, our figures not matching up with what Board of Inland Revenue has. So in calling Board of Inland Revenue to try to reconcile the problem, now they realize that's where they picked up the error. Because they realized BIR figures off by 2-point-something billion as compared to what the Budgets Division has. And so they were trying to figure out, well, where this money went. And that is when they discovered the error and brought it, the public servants attempted to fix the problem with the Auditor General. And the Auditor General department, based on what we were told, wasn't willing to entertain the issue. And that is why the minister had to get involved. So the public servants probably would have tried to fix the problem before they go to the minister. Because he would ask them, so what have you all done to fix this problem? So if they tell him, well, we've done this, we discovered what the problem is, we are trying to contact the Auditor General's department to bring this to their attention so that we could correct the record. And the Auditor General is not taking the calls from the Permanent Secretary, not responding to emails or any of these things with respect to this matter. So this is why we have come to you as the head of the ministry, and perhaps you could use your good office to speak to the Auditor General, explain to her the situation so that we can fix this problem. So I hope I put it contextualized right there, right? So as I said before, if, as the ministry is saying, the discrepancy between the figures has to do with this transaction that went wrong, the minister has basically put the blame on the central bank. This is where the problem took place. Central bank hasn't come out and said the minister lied. Central bank hasn't come out to put out a communique to say this is not true and this didn't happen. Mr. Imbert, in fact, prior to this, I recall I saw, and that's why I look at the Parliament channel, he was making a contribution to another debate, and he said that with respect to the printing of the new $100 bills later this year, he wrote to the central bank asking for information with respect to what is the cost to print these $100 notes, who is the printer, and a whole set of other information that he requested. And the central bank responded to him by sending him a copy of the act. The central bank act letting him know, we don't have to give you this information, and we're not going to give you the information. And he said, as minister, my hands are tied because the act says they don't have to give me. I was just asking for the benefit of the citizens who want to know. But the central bank told him, we're not giving you the information. That is our proprietary information. We don't have to give it to you, and we're not cooperating. So if the central bank says to the minister, we're not telling you, it means therefore the central bank is not afraid to put out a statement if the minister is misrepresenting them to correct the minister in public. They are not afraid. They have no issue. Because if you could deny a request by the minister for something that to me is simple, then if the minister lying on central bank, they would have put out something long time to say, we want to correct the record that this didn't happen, that didn't happen. Central bank hasn't done that. You know why? Because it's the truth. There is nothing for them to debunk because that is the facts. Hence the reason the Auditor General has not treated with that either. So I hope I was able to help Jerome. I fed up seeing all they put where the 3 billion going. There is no ask Jayanti. Jayanti is saying the money doesn't exist. She said it never existed. Munilal said the government cooked the books and they made up this $3 billion so that the budget deficit would be less than what it actually was. And when I read Ralph Maraj's article on Sunday, we will get into that as well. So let me just take Jenny and then I'll go on there. Jenny.
I can just add to what you said there, right? If they are saying that the government cooked the books, Minister, Minister Embert is not accountant. So it means they're saying public officers would have either better the minister in doing that.
Yes.
Because the minister don't do no books.
Correct.
Public officers who are the ones who have to make up their account. So is it that Munilal implicating the public officers into doing something illegal? And as you really say, central bank can come out and say the minister lied. Public officers who the minister say came to him and told him there was an error and they're trying to fix it. They haven't come out and denied that. Because Member can't fire them as public officers. So every minister who cannot physically go and do up the books, because he's not an accountant, number one, and that is not his place anyway, because the permanent secretary is the accounting officer in the ministry. All the ministers, the line minister, that will bring policies from the government for the PS to implement using the proper procedures based on the Civil Service Act and all the other acts. So the minister don't have no part in it, but what they are doing is throwing public officers under the bus. And that is what Jayanti Ramdas is doing, because she didn't do the books by herself. All them things were collected from the different agencies, BRA and all those other agencies, and was brought to her department that she has a staff of public officers who have to compute all those things and give her. So she's implicating the whole office also. But she hasn't done that. She hasn't come out and said the public officers lie. She's just saying the minister, basically. And we know when you look at the facts, it don't add up. But I will also go to this. Under Sharon Otley, who was the Auditor General under Kamala and the PP government, she was complaining every time in her reports, her audit reports, that the government only spending money, and they're just saying they're spending millions and millions of dollars of money, but there's no record of it. There's no receipt. There's no documentation to the spending. I didn't hear Moses and everybody else come out, or Munilal and all of them come out and say that something wrong is happening. Because what Sean Otley was saying is that they're spending millions and millions of dollars at the PP government, 2010, to when she was there, and they have no documentation to show you how they spend the money. So that is not thieving money. But you have no revenue recording that public officers are admitting they made some type of error when they computed or something went wrong from the central bank in putting in those figures. And they're willing to work to change it. They did that, tried to get in contact with the Auditor General to have it look over and included. And she's saying she's not looking over it. Doesn't that sound as incompetence of the Auditor General? I just asking, doesn't it sound like it's a political type of issue or some personal agenda? I just asking. And to people who would call to always tell us when Zina called to make a contribution that we must stop it because Ms. Davy put out a release. Why people always want to tell us what we should say and when we could say and why she would say? We know the situation that exists in 91.9, and while it may be under this situation, it had nothing to do with the management. There are other issues that happen with management there. You're firing Dr. Dominic. Look what happened, you're firing. The several times they put, they had put, Google nuzzle him, in my opinion, when he had the youth program. He can't say this, he can't say that. They suspended him, I think, Jail Edwards, and so many other things that has happened there, Aisha Wells, and some other things. So if people are reading Julia Davies' release, and they're reading it with a pinch of salt, and reading other things into it, it would have had to do with the past history of how the management of 91.9 has treated callers, has treated the workers. That is a fact. So when people want to tell us what to say, why do they call on heavy and TC program on evenings and tell people what to say and what they shouldn't say and play disclaimer? They have free reign to say what they want from 4 to 7. And that is the kind of atmosphere that the management of 91.9 has bred. So when on other programs, people saying what they want, and they get phone call to tell them, not the host and them getting phone call to tell the people don't say this and don't say that. And don't call when this number call, don't answer this number, and they're micromanaging. What do you want people to do? So 91.9 need to change how management operates. Because that place I'll continue to say, and I know they may not ever take my call when I call after this, because there's no your number, and that is quite okay with me. They need to change the toxic environment that is in 91.9. That is a fact. Nobody in coming down on the black man, nobody in coming down on management. But if you want to run a successful business, the way it is being run at 91.9 does not augur well for success. And the same black man who didn't want me to say this on the radio station and disclaimer all that, we want him to do well because he is a black businessman and we want to be able to patronize as African people also. And all other races want to patronize. But there's a way to run a business and a way to run a parlor. The way to run a bar, a snack it, or a hotel is different style. So if you want a rum shop, well then you go get rum shop behavior with no accountability. And I'll end with this, and it's not because I am interested that they would have done that, but I'm making a point. All who find we shouldn't say and shouldn't say. When they had a program from 4 to 7, based on bias on unreliable information, misinformation on me, people were calling and saying I'm a prostitute. And the host and them was laughing. People was calling and saying, why so dirty, I stink, all kind of thing. And there was no disclaimer. Not that it bothers me, because I know me, but I'm making a point. So you can't want to nuzzle others. When from 4 to 7, you have free reign to say what you want, how you want, and when you want. Then let it be across the board. And that was the equality that's coming. And that is where people that have the growth. Not only 4 to 7, no. But when you're on other programs, the liberty on the 4 to 7 that you just get to run your mouth, you just get nuzzle on the other programs. How could that be fair? And I will leave it there. As to leave it there, again, you don't understand context. But you just only like you just get hard when you mention Dr. Rowley's name. Because half a conversation doesn't make sense. Dr. Rowley said what he said in context of this saying, why we need another cricket academy. And he was saying, well, if the thought was, we already have the PBR, then why build a next point 14 highway? And if we have this already, why not build a next? That was the context, leave it there. But you still need to get up to spew your discontent and hate about Dr. Rowley. Probably that the only excitement it does get in your lives. And what between what it does walk with, probably that is when it does get most excited. I don't know. That every day you have to come with something. Don't matter how you start off, you have to put Dr. Rowley's name in it. You're sick. Dr. Rowley, hear me, Dr. Rowley. No, don't make you have a blessed day. Only callers and listeners are facts and stubborn things. And we'll continue to spread the truth, because truth is truth. Truth is a brute. A truth can be a lie, and a lie can be a truth. And trip by trip by trip. People may not be calling me, people may not be texting, but people are listening. And just like the soldier ants, they will take back the information, write the whisper is, and they will spread it there, and the word will spread. If we can't do it on 91.9, they have other means to do it. They can't stop the truth. And at the end of the day, I support 91.9, but I do not support the way how they run the station, the way how management approach running the station. I cannot support that. I'm a personal labor, and I understand the negative effect that that could have on workers, callers, investors, and management alike. It doesn't over well. So in that context is what I say, what I see. Thank you, W.
Thank you, Jen. Eric, you gotta make it quick for me because I gotta go. 2 minutes.
Morning, yes, sir.
You gotta make it quick for me.
All right. I won't stay long. I just want to call, right, and just say I echo Jenny's sentiments, and I want to say kudos to the Ministry of Works and Transport. They are doing road rehabilitation on the North Coast Road at present, and this is things that they need to highlight, Dominic. They are currently paving the North Coast Road from Maracas Bay all the way back to the lookout going down the road. They need to highlight these things. Oh gosh. By the way, good program, Dominic. I'm not coming in, but nevertheless, I'll be here for Sunday.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Right, so folks, I had to leave it there. Can't take any more calls. Went over time, but join me on Sunday morning. We'll continue the conversation. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a productive one, and we will chat.